minutes, we're done anyway. Let's
We're
try
done
and
in
get through
5 minutes. Dude, if it airs on my laptop, I'm going to unalive myself. What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Never Lag Gaming. You have no idea the the pain that we have gone through to bring you this episode.
27th time's a charm.
It's been rough. It's been rough out here. The technical difficulties. We almost quit podcasting. So Here we are. We'll see if we get through this. I am in a new place, which I feel like I'm saying for the 8th time at this point. And honestly, I don't think the new place is the problem. But such is diagnostics. We're trying to figure out what's going on here. And hopefully we can just talk about some video games, because I feel like that's all we've wanted to do for like 48 hours now at this point.
Yeah, all we've had is issues. But if you're watching this, that means we figured it out and we're both dead.
That means we're dead. Yeah, I knew that was coming. Anyways, without further ado, yes, welcome in. We're going to talk about March. I'm joined by the man who fell in the pit, Zach. How are you doing? Can you bring the hype? Can you bring the energy for March still? Or is it dead? Is your soul empty?
I have a script now. I've said this 27 times. So I'm not even going to mess up a single, oh, dang it. That's not what I said last time. Anyway, I'm doing good.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, no, it's nice to actually be talking about video games instead of technical issues. But March, I continued my video game rampage. I feel like I've been knocking back video games like a second-rate drunk. I don't know if that's I've been playing a lot of games this year.
You don't think you made it to first rate? Don't sell yourself short.
Not yet, but I have goals, and that is one of my goals.
It's good to always be trying to improve.
Be morbidly addicted to video games. So we'll get there.
Yes.
We'll get there together.
Always leave some room.
But how about you? You moved, so I imagine that impacted your gaming output.
Yeah, I was really prepared for March to be. I thought it was going to work out well, because I was like, I didn't finish, and spoilers, we're going to talk about this, but I was like, I didn't finish Death Stranding 2 in February. And I really wanted to, but I was like, you know what? That's fine, because it leaves me like half a game in March. Mm-hmm. And worst case scenario, I'll have that. Plus, we didn't talk about another game we're going to mention here. And I was like, at least I'll have a game and a half in March. If all else fails and the month goes to crap and I have no time for anything, that'll be great. And lo and behold, some might say still too many video games were played in March. Maybe between the both of us, because we have way too many things to talk about for the fact that I moved and it's tax season and there's like a million other things going on, but we still play the games. And so we're going to get into it. Let's start off with what we failed to talk about last month, because I believe you hadn't finished it yet. Was that why? Yeah. And we also had a lot of games in February, so we were like, let's save that for March, because surely there won't be too many games in March. So
right. Yeah. So if we're talking about MIO Memories in Orbit, I think I finished that within the first couple of days of March. So that was realistically more of a January, February game, but I finished it in March. And
sure.
I think that was also one where it's like, I kind of wanted to experience not just the ending, but the alternate true ending. So that we could talk about it a little more. But
so let's start there. MIO Memories in Orbit. It came out, I think it was February. Could have been January. I don't remember.
No, it was January, because I started in January. Yeah.
Like January? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That is one that was announced a few years ago at a Nintendo Direct, one of their indie showcases, I think. And immediately the art style was like, whoa, what's this here? What are we doing with this game? This looks pretty cool.
What are these pastels doing? What are these?
What is this?
Hatched line drawings.
Yeah, it's very like paper. It looks like it would make a really good sound if you like scratched it with your finger. That's what the game looks like. I don't know, maybe kind of felty, papery,
kind of felty, sketchy, watercolory. Somehow, all of those things.
And so it's unique. I really thought it was bringing something new to the art style for sure. Very washed out, like not super vibrant. A lot of colors, but kind of washed out. Anyways, the game disappeared for a while. We didn't know what was going to happen with it. Is it going to come out? Finally got our date. Didn't take too long. And I will say, just to start things off, I played the demo um, early last year. It was about a year ago, and because this is a game I was anticipating, I've had it on my wish list, and the demo came out for the next fest last year, and I jumped in and played like the first half an hour, and I came away from the demo being like, man, it kind of killed my excitement for this game. Whatever it was about the demo, just wasn't working for me. And I was like, man, I don't think this is going to be very good. So much so that I didn't even pick it up in our fantasy critic this year. And I don't know how it did. I'm sure it did fine. But I was very pleasantly surprised to see that it came out and got good reviews, and people were being like, "This is a good to great Metroidvania," and it's doing pretty much all the things very well. So I was happy to be proven wrong there. And yeah, I don't know if they've just improved that much since the demo launched last year, or honestly, part of it I do think is that the first half an hour to 45 minutes of this game maybe doesn't showcase terribly well. It's kind of
It's a slow start. I
yeah,
felt
it's
that
kind
too.
of
Like the first hour,
quiet and
and you don't have. I also feel like this game, by design, is sort of a slower movement, slower combat than a lot of
it's a little
current.
pensive.
Yeah,
I don't know.
pensive. Yeah, and I think a lot of like current like Metroidvania style things are so much faster right now, and so this
Yeah,
is much more slow, methodical, deliberate. But it's also a Metroidvania in that like you unlock abilities as you go, and so initially you don't really have any abilities, so you're just kind of this
which
really
is standard. That is how it goes. Yeah,
it is. But because you're slow and floaty, and the world is a little bit, it does feel a little bit like what's going on
yeah.
here
I
until
definitely
you.
think the first hour is not a good showcase of this game, even in its current state. It takes a minute to get into it. It's a slow
Yeah,
start. The world is very quiet and empty, and that's on purpose. But in a demo, and sometimes in certain games, quiet and empty can come across eerie in a bad way, like unfinished. And that was kind of the vibe I got in the demo. And then also Mio, the character themselves, they control very floaty, as we mentioned. And in the demo, floaty was bad. And in the game, I found, I don't know if it was just my perception changed or they fine tuned it better, but the controlling of the character was great as far as I'm concerned throughout the entire
yeah.
game. So, anyways, preamble about the demo going into this. I loved Mio. I think you did as well. I'm curious to know how much. I think I would give it. What did I rate it? I think I give it a 9 out of 10.
I think I would too. I was going
Yeah,
back and forth between 8.5 and 9, and I think it's a 9 based on the quality of what they deliver. It's a pretty large game for the type of for the genre, but also not too large. Um, the story was really interesting and well told. I think by and large, the music was great, the vibes, the ambiance, the movement, the combat, the platforming. Um, I don't have a lot negative to say really. Like there might
yeah. I
be a
was gonna
couple of
say you pretty much
small,
listed an entire game. If I had to
yeah,
nitpick, I'm curious what your nitpick would be. It might be the same as mine, which is that I did feel the world sometimes was a little tough to know where to go.
yeah, that's my
There
biggest
were
issue.
there were a few
Yeah.
moments where it was like, man, I feel like I've been everywhere I can go, and maybe I'm missing something or I forgot something. But it was just kind of unclear. Some better signposting or direction at
Yeah.
times could have helped.
Some areas can be really hard to figure out how you get into them. And
Yeah,
even after you know they're there, they're still hard to find sometimes.
that
Like
was the case with me.
visually,
I even looked at a map and I'm like, okay, I see this area and I see how like how it connects, but I still can't quite figure out how to get
yeah.
to it.
And that happened semi frequently. And sometimes that was interesting, but sometimes it was frustrating, especially as you're going back and forth, especially later game when you're trying to like collect all the things you need and trying to, get all the pieces in place before finishing the game. You find yourself going back and forth. And there's some fast travel and other stuff, but um, you don't know. In my case, I didn't have all of the fast travel points unlocked at one point later in the game, and so it's like I found myself backtracking occasionally, and there were just certain spots where I was continually like, I've already been here, and I forgot what I'm supposed to do, and now I just spent 5 minutes trying to, and it's just like a little speed bump into the experience, but
Yeah,
it's a pretty minor critique because overall I think the map was well designed and interesting, and it is stuff you could figure out. It's not like a huge hindrance. It was more of a minor nitpick. And
Yeah, and in a lot of ways, I think that designing a Metroidvania map like that is similar to designing a puzzle game, and that line you have to straddle between like a good puzzle and an
yeah,
obtuse or just poorly made puzzle is very razor thin at times.
yeah.
I didn't feel like this game was egregious by any means. There were
No,
just a
I mean, it
couple.
felt
There
like,
were a couple points where it was just like, oh, that kind of tipped over the line from like a good Metroidvania map puzzle to like I'm not really sure what to do. So
yeah.
your mileage will vary. That's very personal, but I will say both of us have felt that. So I think that's our biggest like game design issue. Other
Hmm.
than that, like you said, um, everything is pretty much fantastic across the board here. The music is such a specific vibe that they really nailed and um, really contributed toward a
Yeah,
sense of
like
place. Like
it's
this
not my
feels like a place because of the
it
music.
does.
I
It's
don't
so
know.
unique. It's not my favorite video game music that I've ever heard, but it's very good. But what's cool about it is it's so different and unique that it's like this in my mind is has its own identity sonically, more so than some games where I maybe the style of music is a bit more of my normal preference, but something about this really stood out. And I think that is the music, the art style. There are multiple facets of this game where it's like it just really stands on its own as its own thing, and it has such a distinct feel. And
Yeah.
that was kind of cool to experience. It felt very
Which I
fresh.
think is kind of what this game manages to do across the board because we talk about how the art style is so unique, the music is so unique. I would even say the movement system of Mio. They
Hmm.
managed to bring some fresh ideas into this game where by the end of it, you
Particularly with
are,
certain abilities. Yeah.
yeah, the like minor spoilers if you care about abilities for like Metroidvania and what you unlock, but um, I think it's worth talking about both the like hover. What is it? It's technically a glide,
Hmm.
which I feel like is not too common in Metroidvanias in a 2D game. But here it worked really well. I also loved the way it worked that um, you could hover in place.
Yeah,
I thought the energy system was brilliant.
I
The
did too
way
because you
that
could
all
hover
of
in
your
place.
yeah, the way that all of your abilities consume energy,
Hmm.
and so you get to spend that energy however you want. It really doesn't restrict you in any way with your abilities. You can use it however you want, but when it's out, you have to
It's
rest on
out.
the ground or
Yeah.
attack an enemy to get it back. And it just leads to a
Or
really symbiotic.
yeah.
Um,
Or you could like you can hit enemies, or there are certain like objects that you can hit,
yeah,
and so it creates this interesting platforming where you like use energy to glide, or kind of grapple or do various things to move further, and then you're out of energy and you're kind of in the midair, but there's a little like pod you can hit and it'll recharge your energy. And so it's a mixture of knowing how to allocate your energy properly based on whatever tools you have at your disposal, but also navigating yourself into the right placements with that so that you can kind of recharge
yeah,
periodically and make your way through the various platforming sections. And I feel like it was it was a kind of a unique take on a idea that the like a common Metroidvania idea that made it feel a little bit different, and had you kind of have to reframe how you approach the movement and platforming and even combat because of that.
yeah.
And it was pretty interesting.
I loved it. I really
Yeah,
loved it. I loved it so much more than like, oh, you have one double jump, you have one this, you have one
yeah,
this other thing. Like having time as a resource with your abilities, I thought was a really, really neat concept, and I'd like to see more games do that. And it gets it added on top of that. The ultimate ability you get is the spider legs, basically,
hmm
which Mio has like these um, hair strands or something,
these tendrils that
tendrils,
yeah,
and toward the end of the game, you're able to use them to essentially walk on any surface. So you can
yeah,
walk up walls, ceilings, and what
almost
it
no
creates,
like
yeah. So the whole world changes from that point because you're like, I can
yeah.
get to so many places now, and then it also is just so fluid. The way you start to move around the world just feels like you're flowing through water
The
almost. Like you
spider
just kind of
walk
like,
is the best feeling, and
oh,
it's cool because
It's the best ability I've ever played in a 2D game.
it changes your perspective on every part of the map because suddenly you can climb all over anything. And what's cool is they designed it that way. And sometimes like the hard to find nooks and crannies of like, how do I get to this other area, is because now it's like, oh, I'm supposed to be in that upper corner and there's like a little pathway if I'm doing my spider walk. But you still have the energy limitation of like, you can't walk forever, you're going to run out of energy. And so you have to be very strategic about what path do you take and how do you get, and that kind of made the platforming reframed but still constrained in the sense that you couldn't just like breeze to the end of any given area. It's like, okay, now you have this new tool, but they've built it in a way where you have to be very careful about using the energy of the spider walk at the right time to like get to the right places and recharge your energy along the way. Like you said, it honestly is brilliant. The more I remember and think about it, the more impressed I am how all these systems came together, like between the energy, the spider walk, the various other abilities, the combat, the platforming. Like it all feels like this one cohesive thing somehow that is pretty impressive.
Yeah, yeah, and there's a skill ceiling to using all of them because it was
Yeah.
actually kind of tough to come to terms with using all the different abilities in certain ways or certain times or
Mm-hmm.
refreshing your energy. And by the end of the game, um, I'll put this in the pro column because you always want to be left wanting more. I had gotten so familiar with the suite of moves
Yeah.
that I felt like I had mastered the hovering into the like spider legs into hitting
Mm-hmm.
something and refreshing it and then hovering
and
for a minute
and
or
like making it
like
just in the nick of time, like you
oh, and
get
it
to the
was
next
so
little
good. I
pod or
just wanted
enemy
more.
and
I
you're
was like,
out and
I've
you're about to
mastered this. Give
fall
me
and then you
more.
hit it. Yeah, exactly. It
And
was really
it
good.
also they leverage it. Like there are some of I honestly think that there are some of the best platforming puzzles in this game that I've seen since
Hollow Knight.
Path of Pain.
Yeah, I agree. That
Like
was my same thought.
Silksong didn't even come close to like I think the platforming puzzles were better in here than they were in Silksong.
I agree. That was my thought too.
So
There's a couple of areas in Mio that I would say maybe were not quite as hard as Path of Pain, but they were similarly challenging and required you to become an expert at it.
yeah,
And they just had that vibe. And nothing I played since Path of Pain felt like that, like the couple of
yeah,
these sections. But they were doable if you really try. And
yeah.
yeah,
They weren't the same
it's great.
difficulty, but they were the same. They were like the same amount demanding. Just they didn't. It wasn't as long, and you didn't have to do it in one shot necessarily. Or like there were some difficulty knobs tuned down. So when you first get these abilities, you're not really sure how to use them, especially in combat with the bosses and the enemies. And at first, I was finding myself um, not really using them to their full ability. And then later in the game, there are certain bosses that really like push you. I think they're really well designed to like push you. No, you need to use this hover ability a lot. No, you need to
Mm-hmm.
use your spider walk ability, which has a cooler name. I can't remember what it's
It
called.
does. Yeah, I don't remember what it is.
But and they're so like my favorite. One of my favorite bosses in the game was the crab walk boss on the wall that kind of
Mm-hmm.
turns. It almost makes it feel like a top down game for a moment, where the entire premise of the fight is that you're supposed to be spider walking on the back wall pretty much the entire fight. And it's just, it like, that was like a switch in my brain that flipped for that fight where it's like, okay, now I understand it now. And you literally aren't supposed to touch the ground that entire fight, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And it finally clicks. And once it clicks later in the game, one of the hardest bosses, I forget, it's the two robots that are
Kind of up in the.
oh shoot, I know
I
their
know who
name,
you're
but I
talking
can't
about.
think of it
Yeah.
right now. Um, but they're a very difficult boss fight, and the floor gradually like disappears. So that eventually there's no floor, and it's very hard until something switches in your brain, and you're like, oh, I understand it now, and you just like are levitating through the entire fight, bouncing off of them, getting your energy back.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought the systems were really well designed, and they really designed the boss fights in a way that progressively require you to ramp up your skill ceiling and get familiar with them
Yeah, it
in a very
forces you
intelligent way.
to use and understand the abilities they've given you. Everything always gets compared to Sekiro, but in the sense that like you have to learn what the mechanics are and you have to use them. Like you can't just like mash your way through a lot of the things in this game, and that
Yeah,
makes it initially harder sometimes. But once you, like you said, once you figure it out how it's wanting you to approach something, a lot of times it kind of makes it easier too, because you're like, oh, I see how this is supposed to work, and then you start to do it, and it ends up working out, and then it's really satisfying. So
yeah. That particular like 2v1 boss fight.
Mm-hmm.
toward the end of the game. Um, was it was actually almost comically easy once I realized that if I just hovered in like the top right or top left,
Mm-hmm.
they would kind of disappear and do their whole thing, but they would always kind of come back. And so I would
Right.
just like attack them up there and then hover and wait, and then they would come back, and then and it was just
Yep.
like, oh, that kind of made it trivially easy, but it was also like satisfying because you figured something out. You're using the mechanics to their full.
Yeah.
Um, so
It's kind
I
of
don't
the
know.
classic Souls thing of like, I think the
That's
earliest
true.
experience
That
I
is true.
remember is where it's like you'll have this giant Souls monster that will just decimate you. But if you have courage and you run right up to it and you stay at its feet,
If you stay
oftentimes like
under
you're going to
its
be able to,
crotch,
that's kind of the traditional Souls way. But this
yeah,
had that too, like with this boss where it's like, if you can just, if you don't freak out and you like float and then time things right and like bounce off of them, like it's built in a way where
yeah.
it's pretty doable.
So
So
other things I want to mention: boss fights were great across the board. Really good boss list. I will say the world is just so cool. I love this sci-fi world. I love the premise of this sci-fi dilapidated space station that you're trying to figure out what happened. Why is the
yeah.
station the way that it is? Where are all the people? And then I loved like continuing that line of thought. The voices are these different aspects of the ship that you're trying to find. They're all offline. They're not operating or functioning correctly. You're trying to find the voices, and they kind of
Mm-hmm.
are allegorical to a human body, where it's like you're trying to find the spine, the blood, the breath, and which is just really cool to begin with. But then
Yeah.
visually, I thought that just these giant spheres that all had their like unique personality that was kind of specific to their function in the ship, and I
Yeah.
felt fit very well, and just they were all really unique and cool to find and had their own thing going on. I really liked the structure of this game, going out to find the various voices that all connected through the spine. I thought that premise was really dope.
Yeah. Same. It was
Yeah,
great.
and then
And the endings were both good. Uh,
that's where I was going to continue
is
the
that we're
story.
okay?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so the story was I thought the story was great. I cared
Mm-hmm.
about the story more than I've cared about most stories in a Metroidvania. I
Yeah.
thought, despite being not like super in your face, it was fairly well told and like um,
It wasn't
liminal.
overly
It wasn't
obtuse.
subliminal, like it
Yeah.
was. There was a story here to be had to the point where when I finished the game, the short ending, the non true ending, I was like, no, 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 like
Yeah. No, that's not right.
we
Yeah.
gotta go finish this. And I will say
Yeah.
that is maybe one other thing I would say about this game is that there's a lot of game past the early ending that you kind of have to dig for.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to
Yeah.
get to, which could be a pro or a con. I kind of wish, I don't know. It's
I
fine
mean,
because someone like me, I'm gonna find it. But I would hate to think anyone would play this game and stop
and
at
it
that ending
stopped
because
there.
you would
It
miss
kind of
like
reminds me of like
40% of the game.
Silk Song. You finish the
Yeah,
game, and then it's like, oh,
I
you have
agree.
an entire act after that. This is kind of how that felt. Like
Which we didn't
there
like. We
was,
took issue with that.
I
So
did, there were some specific things in how Silk Song did it that made it
this was
more
not that
frustrating for
bad.
me.
Yeah,
This was much more approachable, I think. Um, and so I had a better time with that structure in this game. So there's a
yeah.
minor complaint there. I think if you know there's a true ending and you know to go after it, then I don't think it's an issue. But it's it would suck to think that someone would do the first ending and
Oh, that's
stop.
crazy.
Yeah,
So I think that's mostly it. We got to move along because we have a lot of games, but we both wanted to give Mio its due, even though it feels like it's been an eternity since we played it.
yeah,
But like legitimately, this is a great Metroidvania.
hmm
If you love Metroidvanias, this is a must play. And then I think even if you fall into the camp of myself, I don't know about you, Zach, but like where you just kind of like Metroidvanias, but they have to be bringing something special to really grab you. That's kind of where I'm finding I am these days. Like it has
yeah,
to be a pretty good. I just don't want to play every Metroidvania. I think
yeah,
even for that person, this is a must play because I think for me, this is probably a top five Metroidvania I've ever played. So
yeah. I mean, I feel like we're getting to the point where I feel that way with most, pretty much all games. Is like it has to be like
that's
good.
true.
Like there's too
Time
many
is
games. That being
time
said,
is
yeah,
the commodity.
if you don't have to be a diehard Metroidvania fan to appreciate this because I think it brings something really new to the table, and it's really high quality. It's not
And
just your
really
standard
unique.
Metroidvania, but I think also if you are a diehard Metroidvania fan, you'll probably appreciate this just as much, if not more, because I haven't played all the Metroidvanias, but it feels like this does some things very differently than a lot of the ones out there, and so you're probably going to get an experience that's a little bit different,
I've
but
I,
also still
I've played a
incredibly
decent
gripping.
amount, and I think it's in the topper tier of
Yeah, I agree.
Metroidvanias.
I
So
yeah, same.
okay, that was Mio. Let's move on to Death Stranding 2 because I don't know how long this is going to take, but we played Death Stranding 2,
Yep.
and we have I have words to say. I don't know what
Yeah.
words you have to say. Um,
I don't either. I finished it like
to,
right. I also finished this right at the beginning of March.
yeah, so we're
Um,
going back a bit for you. I finished it just like a week ago, so
yeah.
it's still pretty fresh. I still need to wrap up the platinum, but just a little preamble. Death Stranding is one of those games that like was in my top 10 fringe before we redid our list, and it was like, all right, this is getting tough. But it was also one of those games that kind of like I loved, but when I'm not currently playing it, never maybe sounds the best. And then Death Stranding 2 was this game, and I think we all have these games where they're so big, and you know you're gonna love it because you loved the first one or just whatever reason, but you're having a hard time being like, I need to start this. You're having a hard time starting
Yeah.
it, and I guess this is one one check in the column of proof that sometimes you just need to start a game and let yourself catch up. Because I'm not even sure that February was the right time to start Death Stranding. I still had to kind of force myself to start, but I will say, 100 hours later, I love Death Stranding too. Like I did get sucked in. I think I love it more. Pretty confident. I love it more than the first one,
Yeah. I do
and
too.
pretty confident it's going to have to move up my ranks going into the future because it was at number 18 on my top 20 of all time. Death Stranding 2 and 1 as a package. Pretty confident it's going to have to move up because I came out the other side of this experience realizing that I didn't know I could like Death Stranding more, but this did it for me in just about every way. So
I would agree with that. It's probably not quite as high on my rankings as you like. I don't have it in my top 20. It's close. And maybe if we redo the list, it would change. That being said, I have a similar experience that I didn't think anything would make me like Death Stranding more, and I really liked Death Stranding, even though it wasn't quite in my all-time favorite contention. Um, and so I was like, I know what Death Stranding is, and I'm sure this will go
yeah,
bigger and
that's what it
better.
felt like, right? It's like
But
we
it's
know
like
what
I
Death
know what
Stranding
this
is. I
is.
really like it. It's really unique, but I know what it
Yeah,
is.
I know what it is, and it somehow transcended
It did.
itself. It was equally more than itself, but also very much Death Stranding distilled too. And it kind of turned into this transcendent is the word I think of. Like by the end of Death Stranding 2, I had the same experience where I didn't quite get the platinum, but I kind of close. I think I'm at like 85% on the trophies or something. Um, and I probably spent around 100 hours and just living in this world for so long and figuring out your routes and like experiencing this version of Australia, like post cataclysmic Australia, with all of the changes to the mechanics and the kind of bombastic, epic fights with these extra terrestrial BTs, and then
Intraterrestrials.
intraterrestrial. Yeah, that's probably a better phrase. Um, and then a surprising amount of cool character work. I mean, there was cool characters in the first one, but I was surprised.
But this
One,
built off of that. Like it
they built
just
off, and
it
it was
compounded.
like I really liked the characters in the first one, but it was funny coming back to this and like encountering certain characters from the first one and being like, oh my gosh, I actually kind of have this like
I know.
fondness for
Way
you.
to steal my line that I told
Oh,
you earlier. That's what I
did
thought
you?
too. Is like when you meet, and we'll give a hard line in the sand when we actually talk spoilers. But I don't know. This is a minor spoiler. But Hartman is back in this game. You
Yeah,
you,
he was
you
one of
meet him
those.
again,
Yeah,
and when you first run into Hartman, I was just like, oh my god! Like I was
yeah,
surprised. I was like, oh dude, I remember delivering you those packages in that super dope cabin that you had in the mountains that was really hard to get to. What's up, man?
yeah,
Like I don't know.
yeah.
There was more hype re-meeting some of these characters, even Fragile in the very beginning. I was just like,
Fragile,
I was hyped
especially
for
like
it. I love. They're corny. They're over the top. It's Kojima, but I don't know, dude. I'm kind of here for like these really on the nose introductions for the characters where it has their name and then they like do a little her
yeah.
little gloves like do a little thing and
It's
I'm
almost
just
like
like
anime, but
I'm
not.
just so into it, man. It's so cool. I don't know.
It's good. Yeah, and yeah, Fragile was great. And there was some new characters introduced in this, Rainy, Tomorrow, that were all really good. And I was surprised at the kind of like the experiences you have with these characters along this journey for 100 hours, mind you. Like you're kind of having these different interactions with them, both in quest story moments and also in these more quiet, subtle moments aboard the DHV Magellan, your ship, where you'll like have an interaction in the hallway with one of them, or like have a like take a picture with that. Like you'll do these little things that
Little
kind of
quirky
builds this
things.
camaraderie
Yeah.
with these people, and by the end of it, you've spent 100 hours with journeying kind of with these characters, some of them since the first game even. And then when the big story moments hit at the end, all of a sudden, like I found myself really feeling it, like almost choked up a little bit at these characters and at the way that the story resolves, and like
Yeah.
the final scene of the game. And it's like, it was so good. And I was surprised at how much emotion that I had invested in this, because the first game I definitely had a little bit of that, but it was so weird and kind of creepy and strange that it was maybe hard to feel as
Yeah.
fully connected to it. And I think I got used to some of that, but also it rounded itself out, and then the characters went farther. And I don't know, it
Yeah,
was
I
good.
mean, so yeah, just to keep going off of that, I think what Death Stranding's greatest strength is that it is now an established world that we're all familiar with and we know if you've played the first game. I do think the first game is really cool, but it suffers from like what is this? What is happening? Like, does any of this does that? Can I trust that any of this actually makes any sense? Or are you just making stuff up as we go? Like this, the world is so new and truly weird that the whole time you're trying to buy in, you're still getting bought in. In Death Stranding 2, we all get to come into this going, we know what BTs are. We know what the Death Stranding is and what the beach is. And we know all these things that were just so weird in game one. It's established now. This is a world. We're ready for it. And Death Stranding gets to just kind of run with that concept now. And I think that's its biggest strength. And it does run with that concept, not to take away from everything it still does, because it is polished to an insane degree and takes everything that was good about the first game and turns it up several notches, I think. But it's that being already bought in and being able to come into the game and just be like, okay, I know what this is. I'm ready for more of this. And I was really shocked too, because Death Stranding 1 was near my top 10 pretty much in gameplay alone. Like I just loved, and I know this is a game you either love or you hate or whatever. But for me, I loved the arduous, monotonous nature of traversing the environment, setting up my zip line routes, getting these packages from one place to the next. I loved that concept, and so the gameplay alone did it for me, really. And the story in one was kind of like, honestly, I need to go back and rewatch a video recap or something. I couldn't have told you much that I remembered from the first game of the story. You're muted, I think.
That's embarrassing. I was. Yeah, it's more like pieces, images of story. What I was
Yeah.
trying to interject with earlier is when you were saying like you just even the mechanics alone and like the zip line. I don't know if you've ever seen that skit from I Think You Should Leave with Tim Robinson, where it's like the dating show that he's on. It's like the Bachelorette, and he's a contestant, and he keeps using the zip line into the pool, and the Bachelorette's like, I think he's just here for the zip line, and it's just him
That's pretty much that was
repeatedly.
me. That was me for
That's
Death
you with
Stranding
Death
One.
Stranding. Like, I
It
think
really
he's
was.
just
I'm
here for
just
the
here
zip
for
line.
this. I mean, it's almost true in two as well. I
Yeah,
I get a lot
yeah.
of
Now
mileage out of
there's
this.
more. There's more, but it's a lot the zip
But
line.
yeah, so the story and like the characters were cool. I remember some unique character moments and like story tidbits from one. But the greater plot and everything, I was like, dude, what is none of this makes any sense. The ending was insane to one in a way where I just
Yeah,
didn't understand what was happening, to be honest with you. And so I didn't really come into Death Stranding 2 expecting much story wise other than weirdness. I was like, it's going to get weird. There's going to be some cool character moments. It'll be kind of sci fi cool, but more or less, I'm just here for gameplay. I love to play. I like Death Stranding. I like this world. And I was really shocked to see that Death Stranding 2 managed to pull together this duology. I don't know if they're going to keep going, but right now this duology into like a cohesive story that like so
Kind of
much so
clarified
it clarified a lot of
some of the things
things
from the
and
first
like
game.
I don't know if they just told the story better or again it just benefits from being an established world already. But like everything made a lot more sense in the sequel, even the weird stuff, to the point where I'm like, man, I actually do need to go back and recap the first game story
Mm-hmm.
because there's a lot of things that like I it's like, oh, he did have a plan maybe. Oh, this was all actually going somewhere. This wasn't
Yeah,
just spouting nonsense into the ether.
yeah.
And that's really impressive. I wasn't expecting that from Death Stranding 2, but like it was legitimately a very cool story. And I would go like 10, 12 hours setting up zip lines, delivering packages, getting my rating up as a porter. And
Mm-hmm.
then I would hit a story moment or a story boss or a big cutscene. And I would be like, oh, frick me. Like, this is really, this is really cool. And so then I'd be right back into the story. And then I'd go back to 10 hours of like, every aspect of this game was fantastic.
Yeah.
Um, trying to think of where to jump off from there, but just mechanically, I feel I don't want to dig too deep into the weeds, but like just all the little things about how everything controls, organizing your backpack, the tools that they give you for
A lot
traversal, for
more. They give you
combat.
so many more tools
They
to like
do so
to
many
build
more.
and play in this
I don't
world.
even get to use them all.
Yeah, but it also never quite felt overwhelming somehow. Like you could kind of take what you wanted and explore as much as you wanted, and
Yeah,
it somehow did not buckle under the weight of everything. I think that's always the risk with all these. Like it somehow it kind of maintained its focus and then allowed you to pick and choose what you wanted in a way that was uh, additive somehow and not just like
yeah.
overburdened.
So
Pun intended for this game.
I'm overburdened.
Yeah,
Um, there's more to say, but I think at this point we should draw a line and talk a little bit of spoilers. So if you have not played Death
yeah.
Stranding, maybe
Go
fast
play
forward
them.
to our
Yeah.
next little thing that we'll put in the comments. But um, just you kind of mentioned it earlier, but like characters, obviously we get the returning characters, but the new characters are really really good in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Dollman is so great.
Dollman's good. I love
What a
Dollman.
weird concept, but they explain it and you're like, oh, okay, like sure,
Yeah,
that kind of
that would
makes
be.
sense.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, his soul is trapped in the doll. I'm like, that's great. I've read a
That makes
fantasy
perfect
book where
sense.
that happened, and in this, it makes sense with the whole Death Stranding, and he has like a tragic backstory, and it's like, man,
Yeah, you get some really
sucked to be
good
trapped in a
cutscenes with
doll, but
it.
yeah.
He's awesome. Loved him
But
through
he's
the whole
great. He's
game.
a
What
good
a
little
great
sidekick.
mechanic too, and like it's this game too did such a good job of like you're still alone. You're still kind of bearing the weight of restoring everything on your shoulders. But there's so much more interactivity with these characters, and you have Dollman
Mm-hmm.
with you constantly to chime in. I love the weird, quirky little like you can throw Dollman up into the
Yeah,
air and like scout out camps and ping enemies and stuff, and it's just like I don't know, it's just fun.
yeah.
And then you've got Rainy, very cool. Just her like this felt like a weird Death Stranding Avengers, where you're like assembling the Avengers with all these doom sufferers.
Doom suffers like abilities. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just really cool. Like Rainy's ability, really cool. Again,
Mm-hmm.
just bizarre. You kind of get used to like sci-fi kind of funnels down, like fantasy and sci-fi kind of funnel down into the path of least resistance, and you start to see the same things everywhere.
Yeah.
And I just for everything Kojima does weird, there's also the flip side of the coin where it's weird. Like it's
Yeah.
different than what you've seen before. And her ability to call down timefall, but then also she has core fall near her body, which can heal people. And like at one point, Dollman throws in this throwaway line is like, "Ever wonder how I stay so young? Sometimes Rainy lets me shower in her core fall or whatever." It's just like, okay,
What
I don't need to know
it
what you're doing in your free time, Dollman. Whatever.
it shows you how much Kojima's thinking about how everything in his world works. It
I know
sometimes
he's
feels
thinking
like
about all this
his
stuff.
stuff is so it sometimes feels so absurd and random. You're like, oh, none of this makes sense, but it actually kind of does. Like in a weird way, it's like he has thought about like the rules of his world mostly make a lot of sense, and he spent a lot of time
Generally,
figuring out how these
yeah.
all to the point where they sometimes will be dropping like the science of these things a little bit, and you're like, all right, I that's good. I know you're
I don't know.
excited
I'm
about
still I'm
this.
still here for it. But like,
I am too. I am too.
I'm trying to think who else. You obviously have Dollman. You have returning. Well, kind of, dude. This game is all over the place because you have Deadman who dies at the beginning. And then he's definitely back for later in the game, and it's kind of like a hype moment. And he's like taking over Hartman's body, and you're like, sure, okay, cool. Like, I'm glad you're
Yeah,
back. I missed you. Hartman's great, and then you've got um, Die Hardman, who
Die
is kind
Hardman's
of like
back.
the surprise return, which I kind of wish they could have handled that a little differently early, because if you pick different voices, he gives you kind of weird reasons why he can't do those other voices. And then
Hmm.
it's kind of clear, like, all right, this is Die Hardman. Like, he can only do Die Hardman's voice. Unless you pick Die Hardman first, that illusion is kind of broken from the very beginning.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like not that interesting of a reveal, but also it's one of the craziest, weirdest reveals I've ever seen on a screen. Do you remember like the Die
Yeah.
Hardman like dance
Yeah.
sequence?
He like does that whole like
All of a sudden it's a
it's
freaking musical, and he's like doing dances and like singing about the end of the world and how
yeah.
he's not going to let it happen. And I was like, what
It
is
almost it
happening?
kind of strayed into like Alan Wake territory a little, or
Dude, it did.
Remedy
But I was
territory,
also like,
but it
I was
works.
sitting there being like, I would never want to watch this with anyone, with anyone. But I'm kind of liking it. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
weird. That's
You're
kind
like
of how
kind
I
of
felt.
you're like hoping no one comes in, but you're
And
like
like,
kind of digging it.
I hope my parents don't visit and
What's
see
that?
whatever is happening here.
There's that internet joke where it's like you watching anime or whatever by
Yeah,
yourself, and it's
exactly.
like a
Like
cool
ninety
action scene,
percent
and then someone
normal.
comes in, and it's like a weird thing's happening. It's kind of like that. They
That's
walk in right on
exactly
that
what it
scene.
felt like. I'm like, I was playing a normal
Yeah,
game 30 seconds ago. What is going on?
yeah.
But it was in like this whole sequence, like with
It
these
kind of worked
servers
though.
that looked very control, like super
Totally.
control vibes.
It worked for me. It was
Dude,
weird
these
and
scenes at the end of this game were kicking butt, man. They really
yeah,
were, though.
yeah. Some really epic stuff. One thing I want to say real quick: this game had some of the best visuals I've experienced on the PS5 Pro.
Oh,
Granted, I
100%.
played on the Pro, but um,
The Decima engine, man, for some of its issues, it
looks
has
good.
probably the two best looking games that have ever been on a console. Forbidden
Yeah,
West and Death Stranding 2.
yeah. I think this is we sometimes complain that like we started off the PS5 generation with one or two previews of what next gen could look like with Demon Souls remake and Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart.
This goes
Um,
in that bucket for sure.
and there's been a kind of like a huge dearth since then where it's like a lot of stuff was kind of built as cross gen and things today aren't always optimized and there's not always a good incentive for developers to really push those boundaries anymore. And not that every game needs to be the best looking thing ever, but it's nice to get a game where it's like this feels like what was promised with like the next gen capabilities of this console. And like this feels like I'm on the next thing, I'm not on the PS4. And Death Stranding 2 very much,
It is
you
incredible
know,
looking.
yeah, it really is good.
And ran so good.
Yeah.
Just really impressive. So I mean,
It looked good
I
on the
have
PS5 regular,
base. Yeah,
but then
that's what
we
they
got
call
the
it. The
base, yeah,
PS5 regular,
the regular,
the regular Joe
the
PS5.
single. Then if you get the PS5
You get
double,
the double.
the double, then it's even better, even better.
Yeah, his game looked fan. I have so many screenshots
If you
from
get it
these.
protein style, it's
It's
healthier.
insane, absolutely insane. So I kind of want to see this game on an ultra wide.
That would be
Oof,
cool. That would be
that would be
cool.
insane. But like amazing looking game, and then we didn't get into like the I think obviously the coolest new character. Well, I guess it depends. They're all cool. Tomorrow,
Tomorrow, I would agree.
really
She's
cool.
probably the coolest of the new characters.
The whole introduction, and then I don't remember the name. It was Neil, because he does the super corny Neil Vana thing, like
Oh yeah, yeah.
Neil Vana.
Neil
Yeah, I don't know.
Vana.
Anyways,
You
like
could,
just
yeah,
the
you tell
whole,
Kojima having fun with some puns there, and you're like, all
yeah,
right,
like not a very good pun, but anyways, Neil is this character that you run into throughout the game, and there's like these intermittent sequences where you will come into contact with like this almost like breach in the Death Stranding or whatever you want to call it, breach between the beach. I don't know, and Neil will like pull you in to the upside down. I don't know lore wise where you're going. It's this place where like everyone's not really alive, but like it's unclear,
yeah,
and it's
it's
also
kind of
visually great. Like you're in Paris or something. Like it's very
it
you're in a
was kind of
city, and
sort of like a flashback via
yeah,
you're like
it's
pulled
very
into the
unclear.
yeah. I mean, you're pulled outside of your beach into some other yeah. It's hard to
but for the first half of the game, it's really unclear, and it's like, what is happening? And you end up pulling this character out of this place that Neil takes you into, called Tomorrow, and she's like, she like doesn't know how to be human. She kind of is a little incoherent and like not terribly responsive. She's apparently been in this place a long time, and her abilities, first of all, her cutscenes are just like, you put the controller down and you're just like, this
I
is
know.
freaking cool, man. Like
It's
she
like some of the
just,
best action scenes that I've watched in a long time. Where I'm
oh
like,
my goodness.
this
And
is
then
better than action
when
movies
she
I've
takes
seen
her shoes
recently.
off and just starts diving into the tar, can't say the words, darving into the tar,
Let's
and
just say there's no words for it.
let's
Yeah,
just say there's no words.
she's doing like this weird,
She
like
has the ability,
crazy martial arts, and
yeah,
it's
she has the
just the
ability to
coolest
like
thing.
fast forward time, and so she'll like put her hands on this ghost mech, which also the ghost mechs are super dope in
They're
this game.
super cool.
And she'll just like turn it into ash because she's like fast forwarding it hundreds of
Yeah, just
years or whatever.
eroding
Like
it.
it's just so freaking cool. And then to
Yeah.
get to the spoiler of all spoilers, which honestly I feel like I should have seen coming. I didn't really, I
I
guess
felt the same way. Like when it happened,
I
I was
didn't
like,
put
I
a,
really should have seen
I
this
didn't put a
coming.
lot. I didn't put enough brain power into it, I guess. But it's kind of
But that's kind of
obvious.
the it's
Tomorrow,
good sleight of hand. But yeah, go
I think
ahead.
so too, because it was a cool reveal at the end. I was like, dang, that's really cool, and it kind of all ties back in because tomorrow is in fact, um, BB. What's the name? Why can't I think of the name? Lou.
Lou. Yeah,
Lou is
the little
tomorrow
baby.
because at the
Yeah.
very beginning of the game, Fragile, and then the other reveal that Fragile is basically dead. But like
Yeah.
that one's another whole like what is happening here. But like Fragile at the very beginning of the game gets attacked by Higgs, and she tries to basically teleport. What's the word? Jump.
Jump.
She tries to jump with Lou to save them both, and she can't do it. And it's kind of unclear what happens at the beginning. And you're like, oh, now she's in a hospital bed. Well, it turns out she actually did die, but some Death Stranding shenanigans happen, and she has X amount of time before she like real dies. I don't know why,
Hmm.
but Lou was able to help them kind of like half jump or something. And I guess that's how Lou ended up in this upside down area where time is different, and that's where you rescue Tomorrow from. And that's Lou
Yeah.
who grew up in this
She
this
grew up in the
weird
upside down tar
grew up
world.
in the upside down tar
So
world.
like the baby, and emotionally that was huge because the baby you lost, like you spend the first couple hours building this up, and then you lose the baby that you spent the entire first Death Stranding with, which was really painful actually. I That hurt to go through, and then
Yeah.
watching Sam,
And then
uh,
you've got the whole thing where Sam is in denial, and
yeah.
you're still using Lou like this
Yeah,
non-real
like
version of Lou, and
sometimes the
you're like, what
baby's there,
is this
sometimes
just
it's
a
not.
gameplay mechanic or what is happening? Later in
Yeah.
the game, Dollman explains to you, explains to Sam, like, we didn't, Lou is gone. We didn't want to tell you, you were processing it. I'm the one who's been helping you detect BBs and things, and so it kind of explains
Yeah.
it from that standpoint. Like that's why Dollman is with you, is because you
Hmm.
don't have a BB.
Yeah.
And so kind of all, I feel like everything kind of does have answers. I don't have all the answers personally, but the
Yeah.
ones I was able to find pull the threads together, and it's like this all kind of makes
When
sense actually.
it did, because like one of the things I noticed throughout the game is like sometimes Lou is there, and then sometimes Lou wasn't there, and you're like, what's he can't just be gone. And I was like, what's going on with that? Or sometimes it would turn into like a weird tentacle or something. And you're like,
Yeah, yeah.
things are off. And it's like,
Like
and I
Sam's
remember
not okay, is
you
he?
just kept thinking like, well, he died. Like there, or I also thought he was a boy for a long time, but you also thought, I thought Lou died.
Yeah.
And then when it's revealed that tomorrow is Lou, it all starts to make sense that it's like, okay, Sam was grieving, but also tomorrow's back. And it's,
And Lou's back, and Lou's tomorrow, and now this person that you've kind of gotten close with and is part of the crew, you're like, that's Lou. Like I don't know, it's just it's cool. Is it a little like kind of action corny maybe, but like I feel like it's really well executed, and I really was kind of into it. So um, yeah, just I don't know. I was surprised how much the story actually
same.
um, hit for me in this game, and it just
Yeah.
it took Death Stranding to another level where the first game didn't have that for me. It had cool character moments, it had the
Hmm.
gameplay, it had the world. The story was not there for me in one, and whether that's my
Yeah.
fault or Kojima's fault, I'm going to blame Kojima. But here in two, everything came full circle. So
For me, the first Death Stranding, there was a couple of key story moments I remember, and I kind of understood sort of like the apocalyptic event and what was avoided with Amelie and her sealing herself. on the beach and like kind of preventing the ending of like, a total annihilation of everything by trapping it on the beach with her,
Yeah.
her own personal like universe,
The
whatever.
extinction entity.
Yeah, so it's like I understood enough to be like, okay, I get it. I understand the stakes, whatever. And I had some emotional connection to Sam Porter Bridges and Fragile in particular, but it wasn't quite fully there for me. And I feel like this game really reinforced, oh my gosh, not only do I care about Sam, Fragile definitely, but like I care about all these other side characters. And then Tomorrow I care about. And that was before realizing she was Lou, which just added to that. And then everything
Yeah.
kind of comes full circle of like all of this stuff ties together. And you also start to understand how this ties into the Death Stranding and what you've gone through to connect humanity and the connections you've forged with these people. And so I feel like thematically, this idea of connection hits so much harder in this game, where it's like I actually do feel like the connections I had with all these different with the main side characters, and then also with a lot of the people you're delivering to, um, it just the ending then hit really hard because it's like it's all about this connection. It's not
Yeah.
about these extinction entities. It's about, yeah, the friends we made along the
I'm
way.
also
Right?
really like, how did Kojima manage to like pre-build a game perfect for COVID and then start working on this game that very much has a reveal at the end that this is very AI. Like this whole thing is kind of like AI is orchestrating some sort of thing to basically preserve humans in non-human form in spite of their own wishes so that they don't have to worry about the Death Stranding anymore. It's like, how does, I mean, I get it. AI has been building for a while, but it's kind of weird that he was able to put these games out
Yeah,
very timely, like a little ahead of like huge global things that happened that are very
yeah,
much coordinated with
some
the
level of
theme of this story.
prognostication.
Yeah,
It,
very
it I think
weird.
Kojima lives in a Tar world like Tomorrow, where
I think
he's like in and out of our time, and he has his own beach
he might be a
where he
time
like
traveler.
tinkers and like,
Yeah,
yeah, there's something going on there where he is seeing things from other beaches in a different version of time,
crazy.
clearly.
Well, I literally could talk about this forever. I want to throw a few things out. You can grab on anything and add to it if you want. Um, it's more Death Stranding. That I know this Australia map like the back of my hand. I have
Same.
these I have these routes dialed in,
Don't even
certain
need to go to
spots where it's
Australia now.
like, yeah, yeah, done. Check it off the list. Um, I've got an extensive. I loved the addition of the mines where you could set up and they were like pre-built zip lines that you could then put your network into. And I'll also preface that by saying I played this with sharing set to like minimal. So I didn't have people's signs or structures in my world, which I felt really was the right call for me because it made me make choices with my chiral bandwidth that I wouldn't have had to make otherwise. Like I was constantly butting up against that chiral bandwidth. And so every time I would make a delivery and it would expand, I'd be like, oh, I can put another zip line here or whatever. And oh, I can't. So I really have to traverse this area on foot for a while or by car. I felt that it really was a good balance for me. So, but like I know this map like the back of my hand. I love traversing it. I've got such a good zip line set up through the mountains. God, I love traversing the mountains, man. They're
Yeah.
stunning looking too. When you get above the clouds,
Hmm.
certain nights the moon will be like enormous, and then there's like these
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
galaxy colors in the disc, like just some really cool stuff happening. Traversal, he's turned everything up, and I personally didn't feel like it took away. Again, maybe that's because I played it on lower sharing settings, where I had to make some like decisions. But like, there's a tricycle bike that you can use that's really cool. There's a big truck that comes back from the first game, but I feel like is way more useful and makes more. The map is more designed for it in this game. And then you've got the tar surfboard, which is just it's so freaking cool to
The
hop
tar
on a
surfboard's pretty neat.
giant. It's a coffin, and
Yeah.
you're surfing around the world on a coffin.
Yeah.
It's so cool. Oh my
It's
gosh, I
it's
love
cool.
that
Yeah.
thing.
I played with the sharing stuff on. I think that's just how it was inherently. And I will say I think that's a bit of that detracted a little because I didn't have to make as many of those choices. And there were times where I found myself just like using the truck maybe a little too much because it's
Because
so
there were just
convenient.
generators everywhere and stuff.
Yeah, and so it's just and I didn't use it
Roads.
100%. So I still had some zip lines, and I definitely used the surfboard, and I used the tricycle here and there, and so I definitely still
Tricycle makes
had
it sound really lame.
the sorry the
Like it has a pinwheel on it and like
yeah the
bring, bring.
red solo flyer. No, I don't.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, so there
I
was
feel like
like,
it should prompt you at the beginning and give you a better, because you do have to go into the system like
yeah,
settings and change that, and I did on purpose because I had heard, oh, this game's a little too easy. You know,
it is because
difficulty is not the name of the game here, but easy is in quotes, and I was like, I don't want that. I want to play Death Stranding. So
I found myself making some choices eventually to be like, you know what, I'm going to do these runs without the truck, and things like that. But
self-imposed things, yeah,
self-imposed. But I feel like having the chiral bandwidth is a slightly better way of getting at that.
more natural game design way. So
Yeah,
yeah, I'm sure he had it turned on in response to people who didn't vibe with the first game or whatever. But I think if you vibe
yeah,
with the first game, you should play it with the settings turned to minimal. I wouldn't go
hmm
all the way off because it is nice to have some of that like um, asynchronous interactivity with the world. And sometimes
yeah,
someone will have something somewhere that's helpful. There just won't be like buildings or generators or zip lines set up for you. You have to do that on your own.
hmm
And I like that. But people will still contribute to like the roads and things, which is helpful because it takes a lot of stuff to do that.
yep.
But the thing too, I didn't want people's signs everywhere. I didn't want people's like that. I didn't
That
want to do
gets a little
that. So
much. I agree.
I
Yeah,
was
and
like, I
that
want to feel like I'm exploring a place that no one has been
that
yet. Which
makes
I
it feel
guess
a
they
little bit
wouldn't
too
show up.
much.
I
Yeah.
guess they wouldn't show up till you have the chiral network on. But anyways, I digress.
Yeah, but I think
Um,
they're sometimes a little much. I would agree with that.
yeah. So, anyways, map is great, story is great. Trying to round through this here. I had a whole list, but I got stuck at surfboard. I don't know. I think the last thing I want to say before I can think of anything else as we try to wrap this up because we have other games to get to is that um, what surprises me the most coming out of Death Stranding 2 is that it was a top tier game for me before, but it wasn't a game that I necessarily loved being in the world of. And that tends to be a thing for me with my all-time favorite games. They tend to be worlds that I just want to be in. I want to jump in and do whatever. Who knows? Progress something, do something in the world. Breath of the Wild's the easiest example. Just hear the sounds of the world, hear the
Yeah,
musical cues, the soundtrack, just be in that world. Death Stranding 1 wasn't quite that game for me. It was kind of off putting. It's not a great world. It's a world of Death Stranding. But at the end of Death Stranding 2, I had rolled credits and I had to actively stop myself from playing the game when I started some of these other things
I
we can talk about.
I had the same issue.
And then one
I
night
yeah,
I put those things down for a minute and I hop back into Death Stranding 2 just for a minute. And it boots up and Sam is standing there with his backpack inside of a terminal at a delivery terminal. And the sound cues go off. And I just was like,
I'm back.
like it just felt like home. It felt like a comfort food. And at that moment I was like, Death Stranding 2 has become one of those games for me where I just want to be in this world
Yeah,
against all odds. I love the little jingles that play when you arrive at a destination and you open up the terminal and just everything about it. It has become a comfort food game for me now, which is going to
yeah.
push it up my rankings. And I
I
didn't know
don't
that was possible.
usually
So
I don't usually play games very long after finishing them. I don't usually platinum. Um, I played for probably 10 hours at least after rolling credits. Like I went back and was doing a bunch of deliveries and I haven't got the platinum yet, but I'm not far from it. Like I have like probably 85% of the destinations fully maxed out. Like I've put a good amount of work into it and some of that was after. And I had to stop myself. I was like, this is fun, but it's like I have so many games I want to get to that I probably shouldn't put another 20 hours into just rounding this out. But
yeah,
I kept it installed too because it's like I do think I'll go back and like
I'm
occasionally do a
definitely
few
getting it the
deliveries.
platinum.
Yeah.
So one last thing I thought of is that this game, for me, it's not about the combat, but it is a lot better than the first game. Like
Yeah.
going into a camp and either stealthing or doing the upfront approach, like an assault. You have quite an arsenal at your fingertips to use.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of really fun stuff to use, honestly. And then with the addition of, I know people you've mentioned, people think the BTS aren't as scary in this game or what, not as imposing, and that can be true, but I feel like that's mitigated by the introduction of the ghost mechs as well, because the ghost mechs
True.
really
They're pretty intimidating. Yeah.
they take it up a notch. So the boss fights that's the other thing we didn't get to. The boss fights are spectacles in this game. Are they the most like mechanically satisfying to fight? No, but once you come to grips with how to control and how to play the game, they're satisfactory. But the visual spectacle is insane.
Yeah.
Like these are some of the coolest looking fights on a screen that
Yeah.
you can have in a video game.
Mm-hmm.
like just
I would
full
agree.
stop.
And I kind of liked that trade-off. Like the tension and terror of the BTs in the first game was really interesting and kind of unique at the time. But I found the overall experience over the course of 100 hours, I much preferred the spectacle kaiju BT that you'd fight with your super powered arsenal of weapons that controlled, still a little clunky, but was far simpler to manage and control than in the first game. And it made it pretty easy to like do the thing you need,
Yeah,
shoot the grenades, shoot the machine guns, throw some blood bombs, and then even introducing like mechanics where you can catch and kind of like
that's the
Pokemon
one I wanted to
style.
touch on because later, this is late in the game. It introduces a mechanic where you can like Pokemon capture giant BTs when they get low enough health. You can throw this grenade and capture them. And I was like, what are we doing here? Like this seems really convoluted. I don't understand. And it walks you through it because it's kind of a quest. It wants you to understand. And so you do it. You capture this giant, like Cthulhu looking BT, and you're like, all right, I have it. And then it leads you up the road, and then there's another fight with three like lion Medusa BTs, and it's like, hey, pull out your BT that you captured. So you do, and then all of a sudden, like you said, kaiju is the only word. There's just like three lion BTs fighting your Cthulhu BT while you're throwing blood grenades and running around and grabbing grenade launchers, and it's just like,
It's pretty cool.
this
Yeah.
is this is freaking cool, man. Like,
Yeah. It's good and it does the job. Like I think it does the job of making you feel the scale of these creatures and making you feel the
yeah,
sheer otherworldliness of these tar monsters from like from beyond life.
yeah,
And it's epic and all of these things and you survive and then you go back to delivering your little packages.
go
Like,
back to
you
delivering.
know, it's the right balance. And so, you know, I think I've heard like Skill Up and some others have criticized, oh, there's not the same level of tension in this game. I don't think it needed it. And I think overall, I like what the package of Death Stranding 2 is better than the first one. And I feel like its whole theme of like connection and transcendence is much stronger in the second one versus the first one.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, it's not
Especially
always
after having played the first one.
for sure. It's not always true that the second. Obviously, it's not always true that the second is this way. But like, Death Stranding 2 to me is a bit like pretty close to the Tears of the Kingdom effect, where I feel like this is the definitive Death Stranding game. You should play the first one. It's still good. This duology is really good as a package, and the story actually comes together. But Death Stranding 2 is the definitive like Death Stranding experience, in the
Yeah.
same way that I feel about Breath of the Wild and Tears of the
Even
Kingdom.
more
So
so in my opinion though, because I feel like Breath of the Wild is on its own.
yeah,
I think I would recommend to someone just play Breath of the Wild if you want to, and you'll still play one of the best games you've ever played. Whereas with Death Stranding, it's like I feel like two is was a considerably better experience in a way for me. Um,
yeah,
but point overall stands. I think that
for sure.
yeah, I'd agree it's the definitive way to play it. Unfortunately, you do kind of have to play the first one. I think doing
You do. I
like,
know
you
because
got to play the first
Calvin
one.
needs to play them, and
I
I'm
know.
like,
I
you
was
can't
talking
just
to
go to two. You got to play
I was
one
talking to him
because
about that. He's like, ah,
I will say, if I had known playing through one, if someone from the future just said, "Hey, this is actually going somewhere. This is actually thought out. This isn't just nonsense." I think that would have helped me in the first one because it just feels like nonsense in the first game, and you're like, it's
yes.
kind of like when you come to a puzzle and you're like, how much respect should I give this puzzle? How much thought was put into? Is this well designed or is this a
Hmm.
bad puzzle? And so it's
It's
kind of the
nice to
same with the
know.
world. You're like, how much thought was put into this? Is this just a
Yeah,
bunch of cool, disparate things thrown out there? Or is
yeah.
someone actually behind this, like really thinking about
Is this the
how all
Lost
this
effect
works?
where it's like they're throwing out all these crazy cool things, but at
Exactly.
the end they had no idea what
Exactly.
to do with it? Versus there was actually a plan, and you have more of a Brandon Sanderson effect where it's like maybe they don't land everything, but overall they had a idea and a lot of the
Right.
things
There's a
actually did
design
build
behind
to
this.
something. And that's yeah, you mentioned this earlier on, and I just want to second that is that some of the crazy things actually do lead into something
Payoffs,
meaningful. Yeah, there are payoffs in this
actual narrative
game,
payoffs. So,
and so that can help you get through the random weirdness in the first one is knowing
yeah,
you're going to get a lot of payoffs both narratively and emotionally in Death Stranding 2.
absolutely. So, I love Death Stranding too. 10
Me
out of
too.
10. Like, just,
Yeah,
I don't think
I'd
I could give
agree.
this game
Yeah,
anything other than a
I
10
think
out of
I'd
10.
give it a 10 as well. And yeah, maybe we should redo our top 20 video that we just started recording so I could put it
I
in.
mean, we're only 5 in. We can just restart. So, all right. Well, there you go. Long, extended discussion. Honestly, not as long as I thought, but we got to keep this moving because we got rid of Calvin and we still have too many games to talk about. So really quickly, I'll just say that in March I also played Absolum, which I don't know if you know what this game is, but it came out I believe
Actually,
last
no.
last year,
Yeah.
and it is a like it's a what would you say 2.5D? Like there's some depth to it, but it's a beat 'em up.
2.75 maybe.
2.75D beat 'em up where you can kind of like move into the background and foreground.
A
There's like
little bit. I
four or
know what you're
five
talking about.
layers,
Yeah, yeah.
classic beat 'em up style. But the thing is, this takes the beat 'em up formula and brings it into the like Hades roguelite
Okay.
formula that is all the rage right now. And I've heard really good things about Absalom. I jumped in, I played it. You know how these roguelites go. You kind of jump in, you can't beat it right away. You have to unlock some abilities,
Mm-hmm.
and there's some branching paths and some different characters you meet, and yada yada yada. Eventually you make it to the final boss for the first time, but that's kind of just like your first run that you've completed.
Yeah.
Well, I made it to the final boss and I got close. I didn't beat the final boss, but that's where I stopped. I was just kind of like, this isn't for me. There's a lot of quality here. If you love the beat 'em up genre, I think that this is going to be a huge game for you because I don't know that we get that genre serviced a lot. And to have a roguelite where you can play it over and over again, there's a lot of quality here. I really, really thought that the way they unfolded the roguelite was really well done in that like the branching map that you find and you know how you can pick where you go,
Mm-hmm.
felt really organic and like you're discovering new areas and you discovered this and an NPC will tell you about this other area and then on your next run you'll see an option to kind of head that way and you're like, oh, there's a new place
Okay.
I can
Cool.
go. And it was just really, I thought the map and the way that the game flows for each run is really cool. Every new run was like, oh, I have this little quest I need to go work on. It did that
Yeah.
really well.
So it kind
The
of does the Hades thing where each run
does
feels meaningful.
it does. It
Yeah.
unfolds. The world
Mm-hmm.
unfolds as you go, and I thought it was really good at that. I thought visually it was really cool, very cool art style. A couple different characters you can play that I messed around with. I played mostly as the dwarf. I liked him quite a bit. But at the end of the day, a roguelite lives and dies by its gameplay. And for me, I just didn't love the gameplay. And I don't know if that's a
Yeah.
beat 'em up thing for me, but for me, it just never felt as responsive as I wanted. I always felt like I was struggling to move my character sometimes where I wanted them to be. And just that little disconnect in the gameplay for me, it just was enough where I was like, I don't crave to keep playing this. I don't
Yeah.
I don't want to get to the point where I've beaten the boss 8 times. I don't like this gameplay enough. And so for me
Yeah.
personally, I just stopped there. And I'm proud of myself for just being able to stop instead of being
That
trying to
takes
get it.
growth. I'm
I'm
impressed.
growing as a
I'm
person. So
I'm impressed.
I did play Absalom and I did enjoy it. I recommend it if you like the genre. But
Yeah.
for me that's where I stopped. I probably put sorry, hold on. Plug this in. Bear with us as we're. This is going to be the messiest podcast we've ever done, ladies and gentlemen. If
That's
that's
how you
what
know
you're.
it's real and not
That's how you
AI.
know. That's how you know we're real and not AI.
Yeah.
It's because that crap just happened. Um, don't remember what I was saying. Oh, I probably played 8 hours, 6 to 8 hours.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I had fun with it. I think it's quality. Wasn't for me. The other one I'll throw out there real quick is because I think me and Calvin will probably talk more about this in May. Is Ghost of Yotei Legends dropped?
Yeah. Right.
And honestly, I wish it were in a month where there wasn't so many other things to be playing, but maybe that's every month now. But we did get to it. We played the campaign, which is
Yeah.
essentially four separate campaign missions where you fight these like fantasy versions of the Yotei Six. Four of them, at least. The snake, the oni, the kitsune, and one more that I apparently can't think of right now. But like
The
and
spider.
there's and the spider. There you go. And there's three missions for each boss. You do like 3 missions, and then you do what's called an incursion, which is the final mission that culminates in the boss fight. So there's
Mm-hmm.
essentially like 4 missions per boss for a total of 16 missions. Um, and I will say, if you're getting into this may just be a me problem because it does say it if you read it. But I was under the impression the entire campaign is 2 player, because that's kind of, I think that's how Tsushima Legends was as well. And so we were playing the campaign missions 2 player, and we got to the spider. We beat the spider, pretty tough boss, but we beat the spider. We're like, okay. Then we did Oni. We did the 3 missions, and then we did the incursion for the Oni, and we were beating our head against the wall trying to beat this Oni boss. And it was just like, dude, this is trash. This is horribly designed. Like, he's just a health sponge, and there's too many ads, and like, who thought this was a good idea? And I, to the point where I'm going on Reddit, I'm like, what is going, like, is everyone talking about this? And through some sifting, I find out the incursions are meant to be played with 4 players. And so we went back in with 4
That'll
players,
do it.
demolished it. It was pretty fun. And from that point forward, we played the incursions. The boss fights are 4 player experiences. So,
Interesting. Yeah, and
anyways,
they just
keep that in mind, because
good to
man,
know.
it was rough with 2 people. But I will just say, we'll talk more about this in May. It's so cool that Sucker Punch, despite everything going on at Sony, and what a cluster disaster trash fire is happening with their live service and closing Blue Point, and who knows what's going on at Sony right now. Sucker Punch in 2026 put out again a free, high quality mini Destiny type expansion for Legends, for I'm sorry, for Ghost, with Tsushima and now Legend, and that's just, or in now Yotei, and that's really cool. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I would never have guessed that they, after, especially after they broke out Tsushima Legends off and like charged for it, you can buy it separately, and I was kind of like, okay, Legends this time around is going to be, there's going to be some BS, so it's going to be charged or whatever. Nope, same thing. If you own the game, it's free. You hop
Yeah,
in, you play.
it's amazing.
There's no cash shop. There's nothing. It's just a
It's
high
just
quality. It's like playing
it's
Destiny in 2014, man. Like, there's a little
yeah.
expansion here with some missions. They're going to come out with a raid in April, so hopefully we'll get to the raid. We need to gear up a little better, and I want to try the raid this time around because I missed the raid for Tsushima Legends, and I want to have experienced that. But just
It's
high
such a cool
quality
thing to just
package.
deliver to the players, and
It is.
like you said, it's just yeah.
It's so cool. And the other thing is that it's just, it works really well. Like, I liked Yotei Legends. I didn't or I'm sorry, it's so hard to Ghost Yotei, not Yotei Legends. I liked
Tsushima.
Ghost of Yotei,
Oh,
but
Yotei.
I didn't love it. Yeah, thank you for
Yeah,
your help. I
yeah.
didn't
You're
love
welcome.
it, but I will say the gameplay transitions so well into co-op. It's kind of that almost Night Rain effect where, like, the game changes its pacing, and you're kind of moving through these levels with a homie, and it works
Hmm.
really well. The gameplay is
Yeah,
really satisfying. Each new boss introduces new mechanics for that, like, set of missions, and the mechanics are pretty interesting and fun. There's one where you can like insta teleport across the map, and sometimes they're put over enemies so you can like teleport and assassinate. It's just like, it's really cool. It
yeah.
goes off the rails where, the Ghost games are much more grounded and authentic, and it's fun for it. And then the last thing I'll say about this is that the hub area that you get, where you can kind of like gear up, change your gear, hang out, invite people to your party, whatever. Top tier hub space. Like, it's like black stone sand that's been raked, and just like these volcanic black rocks. Really cool aesthetically, but Sucker Punch were smart enough. They know what we liked in these games. The 2 things that they put in here to like interact with and do while you're hanging out with somebody or whatever, the bamboo strikes. They
Okay, I
have
was gonna
they
ask.
have they
Yeah.
have 2 sets of bamboo strikes. One, and they reset daily. There's one that's like
Oh, that's
just
cool.
normal difficulty, and then there's like a nightmare difficulty set. And you can like challenge each other, and whoever can get the farthest or complete it quickest, there's like a leaderboard behind it,
Oh, that's
and
really
it'll
cool.
show you, like, it shows you your points, never lags points, and we can like compete and do the bamboo strike, which is one of my favorite things to do in the game.
Yeah.
They nailed it. And then the other thing is the I don't remember the name of it, but the flicking game. It's I
Oh,
looked it
yeah,
up.
yeah, yeah.
I can't ever remember
Where
what
you
it's
like
called.
flick the coins into each other.
I keep calling it Pai Show just because I'm like, I don't have a better name for it. Um,
Yeah, I
oh,
don't remember
Google's
that.
not. Oh, Zeni Hajiki. Apparently,
Yeah,
very easy to remember. Of course, why didn't I
right.
remember that? But
Yep.
they put Zeni Hajiki
That's a
in
fun
here,
game
and
too.
I will say I enjoyed it in the base game. But playing against the NPCs, it was literally like, if you miss once, they'll just complete the whole thing. and playing with another person is an entirely different dynamic. Like
I could see
we
that.
actually
Yeah.
have like these 10-minute matches where we're like, okay, I actually need to just kind of slough this because if I hit something, it's going to set you up to finish the game. I need to play some
Yeah.
defense. Like there's actual strategy, and it's actually really good. Like we've every time we jump in, we're like, all right, let's warm up with some Zeni Hajiki, which I say by show, which is clearly not right, but super dope. Like they crushed it. It was really fun,
Amazing.
great
Amazing.
co-op experience, and it's just such a fun like dichotomy to like play some Zeni Hajiki, do some Bamboo Strike, go on a mission with turn on matchmaking and 4-man raid this giant boss. Super dope, really cool.
Good on Sucker Punch for like, Yotei was really good. Even though it didn't crack my, it's not like going to be in my top whatever. It's really good still. And then delivering all this cool free content and like, I don't know. It's nice to hear.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
dope.
they correct. I told Calvin, I was like, dude, I would love to. I miss the OG days of Destiny where it was an expansion a
I do
year.
too. Yeah,
And I was just like, I hate that everything changed with the Eververse, and this
I know. It
feels
really
like
did.
this makes me remember that time. And I was like, I legitimately would pay 10, $20 to jump into a new expansion for Yotei Legends every year.
Yeah.
Like I don't, it's just they have the sauce here, they have something good, and it could be kind of like this little mini Destiny thing.
Yeah.
Anyways, probably will never happen, but what we have is here, and it's pretty dang solid. So shout out to Yotei Legends. Really, I mean, not a letdown. They
Yeah.
continued what was great with what they did several years ago. So, okay, we got to get to Planet of Lana 2. Whew.
Actually, no, I have to talk about Resident Evil 9 for a minute.
Oh my
That was
gosh.
March.
You finished it?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's right. I forgot you finished it. All right. Well, okay. Is this
You're thinking that
the
you're
this is the
yeah,
fourth game you've played now in 2 months?
this is the yeah, in a month. I think I finished I played Resident Evil 2 remake, 3 remake, 4 remake, and Resident Evil 9 and completed them all within about 4.5, 5 weeks.
Good grief. All right. Well, tell me, man. So where does it rank? Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, I'll try and be quick because I know we're running out of time. But Resident Evil 9, obviously the new one that just came out, it is probably my second favorite of the 4 I've played.
Okay,
Resident
that
Evil
tracks.
4
Behind
remake
4.
is probably still my favorite. This for a bit, I thought it was going to be my favorite.
Oh, really? So
My
it
ultimate verdict.
didn't
My
quite make it.
Yeah, my ultimate verdict on this. I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. The first half of Resident Evil 9 is a 10 out of 10. It's so well designed. So Resident Evil 9, you play split between two different players. You play as Leon and you play as Grace. Grace is more the survival horror, kind of the vibe of like Resident Evil 7, if anyone's
Right. They
played
kind of
that.
mashed the two games together.
Yeah, first person survival horror, you're more underpowered. It's more that vibe. Leon is more action hero, power fantasy, and the zombies are afraid of you type of thing. And they
Right.
somehow, I was a little worried that taking these two things and trying to combine them was going to be like it was not going to work. It kind of worked. I am impressed. Like it very much was, you would play as Grace for a while and you would experience the terror of a new setting, and she's severely underpowered for the most part. She gets a little more gear at her disposal as time goes on, but like you experience the fear, and then the way the stories interact, like then you play as Leon and you'll sometimes like be in similar spaces after the fact as Leon, and all of a sudden you can demolish everything, and it's kind of this really satisfying back and forth. But you will have a couple hours at a time as Grace, so plenty of time for the tension and the terror of a survival horror that then flows into the release, the catharsis of just blowing everybody up and spin kicking and chainsawing everything into pieces while making silly one liners. I think I was surprised to find that Grace's sections were my favorite, because Resident Evil 4 remake, you're on mute by the way, I don't know if you know that. Embarrassing for you now.
I'm so embarrassed.
Yeah, it's passed to you. So Resident Evil 4 remake is my favorite, and that's Leon, action heavy, whatever. And I'm a little bit of a scaredy cat. Like I will play some survival horror, but it's not my go-to genre. So I was really surprised to find that Grace's sections were by far my favorite because they were the puzzles in like I say puzzles, but kind of the puzzle nature of like figuring out you'll be in this area and you have to figure out how to unlock this door and find the right key and like how
Yeah.
to navigate the zombies was so compelling. And something this game did that the others haven't done before is that a lot of the different zombies have personality quirks. So the first half of the first area of the game is set in this like hospital rehabilitation clinic, um, and the zombies all have like they kind of act in ways that are similar to what they were before they died. So you'll have a housemaid or like a maid who's cleaning stuff, and so if you make a mess, she's gonna run and she'll be like
Oh, that's really
dirty, and she'll
interesting.
run and clean it. And so it's like, or
And
there's
that's
like
like
a
part of the puzzle mechanics.
yeah, or like another good example is there's like a butler type guy. I don't know what his job was, but there's like a hotel clerk type
Butlering.
guy, and his job is like if you turn on a light, he goes to turn it off because he's trying to like make sure the lights are off at night. And so what it turns into is like, is Grace, you don't have enough artillery to take out all the zombies, and they will kill you if you're not. You have a limited amount you can actually take down. So what it turns into is, okay, I need to get down that hallway, and that doorman's in the way. He's like by the light switch.
So
I'm going to
turn
go
this
turn
light on
on this
over
other
here.
light. He'll go that way, and then I'm going to sneak past. And you
That's
kind of learn
cool.
that
I like that.
it's neat, and you learn the quirks of a lot of these zombies
Yeah,
and
you have to
how
like
to like
study their quirks and then use that to get
yeah.
around.
And it's just and it adds a lot of personality to it as well. um
So is the
and
second half more action heavy, and that's what brought it down?
um so it's not so much the action. I'll get to that in a second, because the action
Sorry.
is really fun too. Like it has a lot of the action that's kind of reminiscent of Resident Evil 4 remake, where as Leon, again, you're spin kicking things. You're in Resident Evil 4 remake, there's a you can block chainsaws with your knife, which is stupid and amazing. In this
Yeah.
one, you could actually pick up a chainsaw, and at one point, mild
Block a
spoilers, but
knife.
at one point you have a chainsaw battle within the chainsaws. You have a chainsaw, the zombie has a chainsaw, and you guys are like lightsaber battling chainsaws, and it is so
Over
silly
the
and
top.
stupid. But
Yeah.
it's like Fast and the Furious. Like it knows what it is, and it's a
Right.
blast.
Yeah.
Um, and that was all great too. Um, but I think ultimately what happened is the first half of the game, and again, mild spoilers based on locations, and I won't go into anything too deep, but the first half of the game is set in this rehabilitation center, which is masterfully designed. I mean, it's like crazy, but it's like designed super well in a fun gameplay sense. So the first half of this game is set in the rehabilitation center, which is masterfully designed. And it's kind of like sort of a labyrinth. Like it feels sort of like a real place, although it's also ridiculous. Like, like the insane ward is next to the offices. But in terms of like living in this game space, it feels kind of realistic, sort of. But it's also like a labyrinth of like unlocking the various wings of this rehabilitation center. And you do that is Grace, where it's like you're finding a way through and finding the right key from the right area, and finding out how to get from A to B to C to D and survive. And it's so satisfying.
Yeah.
And the center is just, the ambiance is on point. It's some of the best looking I've seen a game look. Like it looks so like the wood paneling and the carpet and like everything about this environment it's one of the most immersive environments that I've been in modern gaming. It's so good. And then as Leon, you're in the same place, but you're just like demolishing everything, and that's also great. um, what happens is after the rehabilitation center, you end up going to some new locations. So I'm going to say, well, I don't know if you're ever going to play the. You also haven't played any of the other games, so I don't know. Location is probably not a huge spoiler for you.
Yeah. Maybe not.
So what I will say, you go to a
Rainbow Road.
you sort of you go to Raccoon City is like the next location, after the next big
Interesting.
location, which is an like Rainbow Road is an iconic location in the Resident Evil games that you've been to in previous games. A lot has happened there. Like at one point it gets nuked because so it's like this is like an apocalyptic city at this point, and you have to go back
Huh.
there for story reasons. I won't go into that, but that's kind of like the second half of the game is more in post-apocalypse Raccoon City.
Okay.
And in some ways that was really cool, having played 2, 3, and 4 remake. There's a lot of history that you recognize. There are some callbacks that mostly doesn't overdo it. Maybe it straddles the line a little bit. Um, the problem is in the second half, you do play more as Leon, so it's more action heavy, which I found myself missing the grace moments a lot. But also a post-apocalyptic, deserted city, not fully deserted, but you know what I mean. Um, was a little bit more drab and dreary and less
Yeah, that's
interesting
getting really
than
played out. I'm getting really tired of that.
Me Too. And it was still interesting, and there were some cool things that happened
Yeah,
throughout the pieces of that. But it was a lot more standard feeling in a way than the first half of the game. It went on maybe a little too long before after the Raccoon City bit. You go into more of like a sci-fi lab area that becomes really cool again, which is also kind of a Resident Evil trope. You always end up in like the underground lab. That's like
oh,
every
okay.
game, which is another thing this falls into, is like the ending of the game kind of falls into a lot of the tropes that all Resident Evil games fall into.
Like on
Without
purpose, maybe.
Yeah, it's like this is the type of place we'll end up, and this is like the final boss fights. They tend to follow a lot of similar tropes, and there's a little bit of that. But the last area, it was so cool again that it was kind of okay. But that portion of the second half where you're in Raccoon City dragged, wasn't as interesting. Still fun, but like I found myself a little more, and so I like the second half of the game is more like an 8 out of 10 versus the 10 out of 10.
Interesting. Okay.
And so it was not, it's totally worth playing. You're still going to have a good time. But it sucks because for the first half of this game, I was like, this might be in my top 10. It was like so well done. And then you
You
get to
hate that. That's rough.
yeah. And then the ending kind of had some cool stuff. And there were some really big story moments. And there's multiple endings depending on what you choose. Um, and there's some cool things that happened. And if you get like the true ending, the final scene I felt like was pretty satisfying, like emotionally, if a bit, you know I don't know. Yeah, it's pretty satisfying. So it's like it,
Yeah.
it all rounds out really well, and that's why overall I'd give this a 9. Like it's a great experience, but it's uneven, and so that it's a bummer. Like it sucks that the second half didn't quite hit where the first half did,
Yeah.
but I highly
It's
recommend
always
it.
worse that way too than the other. It's
I
better
know
if
it's
something
better when
starts off 8 out of 10 and then become like ends 10 out of 10.
yeah,
But if it flips the other way around, it's like, oh, what could have been?
yeah, totally,
Yeah. Okay, but still number two, so still really, really good game.
really
And
good.
from
I
what I
liked
hear,
it better.
it's like next gen, like or
It
current
looks
gen. Like
it looks really next gen. I played on the Pro. It's probably even better on. I'm sure it's even better on PC. I kind of want to. These are games that are meant to be replayed. I kind of want to just replay it at some point, but maybe on PC. But it looks phenomenal.
yeah,
Having playing that and Death Stranding 2 within a month or so of each other on the PS5
kind
Pro,
of
it's
ruin
like
other games. Yeah.
suddenly it feels like, oh, I'm playing next gen games on a console.
Oh,
And that experience hasn't happened
is
since
it
the beginning.
2020? Did the PS5 come out?
What is this, 2020? What is the PS5, $500?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Anyway, I don't know if you have any questions. I'll leave it at that. It was great. If you love Resident Evil, absolutely, this is one of the best
Yeah,
ones
I
in the
don't have too
series.
many. I'm not gonna pick your brain because
Yeah.
we're tight on time, and I do think my curiosity's peaked. There's a chance I play 4 and 9, maybe 4, 2, and 9. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. When our apocalypse happens and the structure of the world ends as we know it, and video games can't be made for a while, I'll have time. So
Then you'll have time to go through all 9 base games. You'll have time to go through the
right,
spin-offs
the mobile phone spinoff.
with all the old tank controls, all of that. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad it was at least in the discussion. Like it's a top tier.
Yeah.
Right
I
below
mean, it's going
four.
to be in my
Below 4 is a respectable spot
it's
to
a
land.
great spot. Honestly, like I'm impressed with what they were able to do, especially merging the two games. Like that's something that could have gone
Yeah, for sure.
sideways. And I
There's a lot
ironically
that they
my issue
pull
yeah,
off.
my issues with the game had nothing to do with that.
Yeah,
So yeah. So there you
very
go.
cool.
It's great. 9 out of 10. Loved it.
Very cool. What a month, man. All right, we finished the month with a little game called Planet of Lana 2, um, which came out. Did it come out at the very end? We played it like right when it came out. So
It came out in March. Yeah, it's a recent release.
yeah, so that's where we'll wrap up March, and we both played Planet of Lana, the first game. Zach was a little more lukewarm on it. I came out of it maybe it helped that you were lukewarm and my
I
expectations were
moderated your
higher. You
expectations, maybe.
moderated my expectations because I came out of the first game being like, dang, that was really really good. It's an inside. I'm trying to think of what other games follow this.
Limbo.
Yeah, Limbo and Inside, but then also like maybe Gree and Neva. It's kind of
Neva,
that.
yeah.
It's like a. I think they're called a cinematic. I think we'll call them cinematic puzzle platformers. It's kind of what they are. 2D
Yeah.
cinematic puzzle platformer. That's what this is. It's a very good one of those. If you like those, go play this. I thought it was good mechanics, but I think coming out of the first game, I was surprised at how compelling and how much I enjoyed the world. I think that was the thing for me. I loved the the planet of Lana. I loved the creatures and the flora and the fauna and Mio.
Yeah.
Is it
Vibrant
Mio?
colors and
Mui.
Mui.
Mui? Mui. So, anyways, going into two, I was like, I'm here. Like, I really liked this. I love the color palette. It's very vibrant and jungly, and I thought the puzzles were really interesting. Kind of like bringing in this Last Guardian meets Inside type of thing, where you're controlling a creature. Um, and so, yeah, for two, I would give two. That's a solid 8.5 out of 10. I
Yeah.
don't know. Where are you
Yeah,
at with it?
I probably it's probably the same. I mean, the first game it's tough because this is one of those things where it's like for the type of thing it is,
It's a
a
9.
9
Yeah,
out of
that's what
10.
I try to rate something based on what it's trying to be,
But
and it's
what it
probably a
is,
9
because
out of 10.
it's a short game,
Yeah.
6 hours ish, yeah, give or take a couple hours. It's a short game. It's a certain type of thing for what it is. 9 out of 10. It's one of the best of what it's doing. Um, yeah, the first Planet of Lana, I don't know. I think I played it at a weird time. I think I felt like a 7 out of,
Yeah,
like, it was
could have been.
good. I think it was good, but not great to me at the time. However, I do remember loving the, like you said, the world in terms of like the colors and the vibrancy. The music was really good in the first one, and so there's pieces I like. I feel like I didn't love some of the puzzles in
Yeah,
the first one. Like I felt just a little kind of like not bored, but like they were just okay. And so it
I
kind of
could
netted
see
out
that.
to me just
I could
being,
see that.
I came out of it like, oh, that was pretty cool. Going into the second one, I was kind of like, I don't, there's probably going to be more of that. I loved Planet of Lana 2, and I found myself like enjoying being back in the world. And I was like, oh, I remember like there's a certain
It's that Death
style of
Stranding
like
2 effect.
artwork,
You're like, oh, I didn't realize how much I vibed with
kind
this.
of, yeah. And to the point where I'm really sad it's over. I actually loved playing the second one, being in the world. I feel like it introduced some new abilities without overdoing it, and they all worked really well. The music
Yeah,
was even better. I think like the
the
music was
music
next
was
level,
phenomenal in this game.
and
There were so many
also
tracks where I was just like,
yeah, like some of the best. And the music paired with like the vistas and the skyboxes, and something this
mhm.
game does that's really cool is like
And
a
even the
lot of times
soundscapes, the rain or the
soundscapes too. The whole
rustling of
sound,
leaves,
everything's
like
sound.
just the sense of place in the world with the music is like,
The
it's
sound
amazing.
design
It's
is
art for sure.
masterful. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's but something else this does that's cool is a lot of times with a 2D game, it's like, yeah, you're 2D, here's your character, blah blah blah. In this, a lot of times it gets very cinematic where you'll get to a point where like the screen zooms out like you're watching a film and your character is this tiny blip on this giant sci-fi horizon with mountains in the background and trees and jungles and
yeah,
giant robots walking in the distance, or like a sci-fi just vista that is gorgeous, to this diorama that is gorgeous to look at. And you'll be still kind of controlling your character, and then it'll slowly come back in, and in the music will like
yeah. It's a
swell
great
as this
technique.
happens, and then it'll come back, and it does these kind of
Very Death
cinematic
Stranding, what you just
techniques.
described, actually.
Yeah, Death Stranding does that too.
There we
And
go.
it does these techniques that just feel so like immersive, and really elevate it to the point where I was like, oh, this is
Yeah,
so good. And then the music, everything while you're playing is good too. And I found myself liking all of the puzzles. I feel
yeah,
like I liked playing this one more. Um,
yeah.
and then one
It's
thing,
very, it's so artistically well done. Like it's like a
yeah,
painting. Every single frame feels like it could be framed. It feels like it could be a painting on a
totally.
wall or something.
And
So
then all the music feels like things I would listen to on Spotify, and I
yeah,
probably will try and like add it at some point.
yeah, it's incredible.
Um, One other thing that Planet of Lana 2 delivered for me that I didn't quite feel as much in the first one is the emotional connection, not just to Lana and Mui, who are kind of the two characters you play as. Um, there was some like ancillary, like some of Lana's like family, essentially, like her like little sister,
Yeah, her
uh,
sibling and her.
her and her like maybe
like
older sister,
grandpa or whatever.
her grandpa, or like,
Oh,
yeah,
older
there's a
shit.
couple
That's her
of,
mom. I'm pretty sure.
or is that her mom?
I
Okay.
think it's her parents.
They don't speak English. They speak some sci-fi language, so it's like you're kind of picking up based contextually what
Yeah,
they,
it's very
which actually,
contextual. It's kind of
which
cool.
it is kind of cool because it's like you mostly understand everything that's going on, but it also feels very time
Forces
and
you to kind of pay attention and read body language and context, and like
like
it's
yeah, and the
interesting.
voice acting's great.
Yeah,
But yeah, like the emotional connection of like your sister and your mom and your grandpa, and why you go on the journey you go on, it just felt much more meaningful.
yeah,
And so I just found myself feeling really emotionally invested this time around, to the point where I was like sad when certain things happen, to like, it's like we got to do something to save our sister, and I'm like worried about her, and
yeah,
you
yeah.
know things like that.
I will
It's
say, since this game is the exact same as Death Stranding 2, as we've illustrated to start this, it's very similar in that like the first game kind of had a cool story that I was like, oh, this is kind of cool, whatever. But I feel like this the sequel kind of zoomed out and like showed that there was a bigger picture. And I don't know if there was from the start or if they just very skillfully
mhm.
made it seem like this was all part of the plan all along. But really enjoyed kind of zooming out and getting a bigger picture story here in two, giving some more context to what happened in the
Yeah,
first game. All of that came together really well for me.
it did.
Before
I
we go too
agree.
much into story, I will say gameplay. I really enjoyed. I thought it was a really interesting idea. The way I don't remember. Do you control Mui at all in the first game? Because
I don't remember.
I don't
It's been a
think. I
while.
think you.
I do think
Maybe
you
I'm
can.
wrong. Maybe I'm sounding
You
stupid right
do
now because I
you
thought it was
do send
very
him to like
interesting. Yeah, you do
in
send him
you
places.
do send him to like cut down ropes so that you can get up,
But like when
so
you control the right stick, because in the sequel you control the right stick, the right thumbstick.
and you can like
Well,
direct him anywhere pretty
is
much.
almost like a tactical like point to click where you click on the
Yeah,
screen and Mui will go there. And I thought that was really interesting, and maybe I just have completely forgotten that's
I
how the
don't think
first
it did
game
it to
was.
that I think it was more like you could just direct him to certain objects.
I think it
Because
was more contextual in the first game, and
in
here it's
this
like
one it
you
was
can
like you could
literally.
send him anywhere, and there was even points where you're like trying to like platform as Lana and like avoid threats and jump while you are using the right stick to control him to like activate
Yes,
things. It
and
requires some like
so
coordination of
maybe
like
it was
both.
just a minor evolution from the first game, but I thought it was
Yeah,
really well done. To where when I first realized, oh, it's kind of like what is that Two Brothers game where it's like, and not to that
yeah,
extent, but like left stick you're controlling Lana, right stick you're controlling Mui,
yeah,
and you can like tell him where to go and to do certain things. Well, and it kind of does piece it together throughout the game where there's some certain puzzles that are very real time, where it's like
yeah,
while I'm doing something as Lana, I have to be directing Mui to go do this thing,
to
and
make
it
sure that we can
matters
both get to the next.
exactly,
Yeah, and
and
it
it's
like
very
starts with you just do one at a time, and it works you
yeah,
into at some
it's
point. You're
very
like, well, if I
engaging.
don't,
I found those
and
very engaging.
I get kind of mildly getting into spoilers. The final boss that you fight, the only real boss, but at the end you have a
True,
final boss
true.
encounter, and it's very much the same thing where you're then controlling Mui and Lana sort of in synchronicity, and you have to kind of be working them both just the right way at the right time to keep
Yeah,
them alive during this encounter and to do the things you need to
and it was
take
well
down the
done. I thought it
boss.
was a good fight.
I thought it
So
was well done too. Yeah.
minor spoilers. We'll continue with minor spoilers now. We'll talk story in a second. The other thing I want to talk about gameplay wise is the ability to basically like control or like almost possess like other objects
Or
or like
creatures.
hack machines.
Yeah.
Really cool, a lot of fun. Really introduced some cool puzzle
Hmm.
ideas as these little critters, and it's cool because you're finding different fauna on the planet and Mui can go over and basically take control of one of them, and then you're controlling this little critter, and it has
Yeah.
some sort of gameplay mechanic or ability it does that helps you. It helps the puzzles have more variety, and
Yeah.
I always loved like taking control of a fish and going down and like setting things up for Lana later.
Yeah.
I really
Or the
enjoyed
little
the
cotton
puzzle
ball
design.
thing where you have to like create a
Yeah,
trail of
the
fire.
fire. It was
I think
interesting
that's
stuff.
something that
So
I think that helped me with the gameplay. Is in the
yeah,
first
I'm
one, I
sure it
think I
did
by the end I got a
because
little
it breaks it
tired
up.
of.
Yeah,
Yeah, I feel like it maybe felt a little samey by the end. Whereas with this, it really evolved. And then what was cool is those different creature abilities allowed you to like continue to use Lana and Mui's core ability sets in ways that evolved and
yeah.
became different, and remained engaging throughout. Yeah.
And I won't go into like solutions because I don't want to spoil it. But one of the puzzles toward the final step of the thing you're given is musical. You're playing like a little
Hmm.
instrument, and I thought those were really good. I thought those were so well designed because there was one that stumped me for a minute, and
Yeah.
just kind of having to use context and just outside the box thinking to
Hmm.
figure out what the game wants you to do and play the right music notes or whatever. Really good puzzles there. But
Yeah.
as far
That
as
took
the
me a minute too.
structure, yeah, that's a good one, man. As far as the structure of the game, I really liked the way this one was set out plot wise from the beginning, with
Hmm.
when your sibling falls ill with the mysterious rock or whatever. It's very Avatar too. Like it's like, oh, now the humans are the bad guys. We get it.
Yeah. Right.
It's done well though, but it's very Avatar in that way, where it's like, oh, now they're digging for minerals and these minerals are toxic or whatever. She's sick, and you have to go find these three things to create this concoction to heal her, and they're in the ocean, the mountain, in the forest. There are these very rare items you have to go find. I loved that because it was just kind of
Yeah.
like little chapters where it's like, oh, this is the
Yep.
mountain chapter. This is
Yep.
the like
Chapter
Caribbean
biome
water chapter, which was
MacGuffin.
my favorite, dude.
Yeah.
I
That was so
loved the
good.
water sections in this game.
Oh, the
They
music
were
in the
my
water section too.
favorite. The
Oh,
music, the little bubble sounds, and just the
the little
puzzles. I love
the
the
little
way it felt
pod
to
you get to,
control
the little
Lana.
machine, the
Yeah,
little like
and the
underwater
puzzles with
sub you get.
Mui, because Mui hates water, and I thought the puzzles were so good for those sections
Hmm.
because you're constantly trying to figure out how to get Mui from one point to the other when there's a giant lake or something in the way. And
Hmm.
there's
And
some
there's
really cool
what's cool
stuff.
is the first one or two of those relied on a similar mechanic, and I was like, okay, this is
Yeah,
cool, but
you're moving the
I'm
log around.
getting
You're like,
it.
we did
We're
this.
and it's like, okay, I'm going to do this again, and then be like, oh no, we're
There's
doing
some
something
cool new
different, and
stuff.
it changed it up. Where it's like there was multiple ways that you would have to get Mui from A to
Yeah,
B, and it would change him up just enough that it was always engaging. And it's like, oh, I don't
yeah.
know how am I going to do it this time? Like yeah,
Absolutely loved it. So let me transition that into the story, because the one thing toward about the like three quarter mark of the game I was feeling was that the game was in this. All right, from here we're going to talk spoilers, like true spoilers. So if you care about Planet of Lana, skip the next 5 minutes to the end of the podcast. Like this, sign up to our Patreon that doesn't exist. Blah blah blah. But it starts to tell a bigger story, and I was kind of like, I was having this feeling of like, ooh, I feel like we're trying to do too much in this game. That's probably not that long of a runtime. Runtime.
that's how I felt. I was like, how are we going to
I,
land
I
this?
kind of
Yeah,
wish we just focused on the healing your sister in this game. I was like, this other story feels like we're trying to do too many threads.
yeah. It's like, why are we
But
introducing this at the
but by
75%
the
mark?
end of it, I was like, hot dang! Like you pulled this together, and in a way where I'm actually really interested in the bigger story that's going on.
Because they like my work. I had the same worry. I was like, we're introducing a new plot line and a lot of narrative elements, and sort of a character who was
And you
like
keep
not really.
jumping back in time to
Yeah,
experience kind of things that happened like 100 years ago as Mui, and like what how did we crash on this planet, what happened to
yeah.
the robots and the humans. It really zooms out and you
It's
start
but
getting
we're
a
going like
lot of,
hundreds of years back. So it's like, why are we doing all this? And we're at the 75% mark.
and you're like, I
And I was
just need
like,
to get
how are
this
we going to
flower for my
resolve all of
sister, what are
this?
we doing?
But what's cool is what it sets up isn't really all. It doesn't all resolve in this game because it's setting up clearly another
It's
game.
one of the
Like
best middle games I think I've ever played.
yeah,
Usually
it's
the middle
brilliant.
game kind of sucks, but this game, the first game was so zoomed in that the middle game had the luxury of like of giving you a whole lot of information without bringing
Yeah.
everything to a conclusion.
When it's cool because
So
like the whole story with your sister, like it kind of you pause to start getting all that zooming out, and you're like, what's going on? How are we going to tackle all this? And the way it all comes together, without spoilers, the way it comes together in the end is that
no, we said spoilers.
true. I guess you resolve the thing with you cure your sister, and you get to see her
Sure.
get better in a way,
Yeah.
so that you emotionally are like, we saved our sister, but also you're now drawn into this epic plot that's been going on for hundreds of years, and
Yeah.
as Lana, you are
And it's
now
all it's all kind of it's all kind of spurned by the fact that your grandfather figure who helps you, super dope, shows up in his really cool flying like hut ship
yeah.
every time you grab an ingredient. He's awesome. He dies. And it's kind of based because of something that you did that was a little foolish and childish later in the
Mhm.
game. And so your sister is cured, but now the final chapter is, I think it's called like revenge or something. And
Yeah.
so you're heading into this city in the distance to get revenge on what happened to your grandfather, basically. And so then, and that's the point where I'm like, man, we're doing a whole lot here. But you go into the city, and it's a bustling city. Like it's a fully developed city on this planet. It's not primitive like what we've been seeing with everything so far in the game.
Yeah.
And there's this like figurehead of the city that you've been seeing through the whole game with a mask. And it turns out that that figurehead is the robot that you've been seeing in the. There's so much context that we've been skipping around on, but
I know.
you go back in time. Mui was originally on the space station, and the at time the acting like general of the space station was sick and dying, and you see these cutscenes where she, instead of promoting another human, promotes this android who is very endearing. They make him very endearing from the start. You can tell he's just a good guy. And so she shocks everyone. She promotes him to the commander of this ship. And so that's all the context we get. And then some things go wrong, and Planet of Lana, everything crashes, blah, blah, blah. Turns out this figurehead of the city that kind of has been this faux antagonist the entire time with the mask is revealed once you reach him to be that robot. And he was familiar with and good friends with Mui and the humans that owned Mui, presumably 100 years ago or whatever. And so there's the whole context. You find him, he takes his mask off, and then everyone else, and some guy walks in and one of his like henchmen walks in, realizes he's a robot, and is like, "Oh my gosh, you're a robot!" And that's a big problem. But the thing that's crazy to me, I'm doing a horrible job recounting this, so fill in any gaps if I miss something.
Go play
But
it.
Mui is like, we got some freaking Treasure Planet stuff happening, dude. Every time he
Yeah.
interacts with Mui has like this map of the galaxy and like certain planets and things. And
Yeah.
so like we don't really know what this robot's plan is, but he's trying to get off planet to resolve
Yeah.
something bigger picture. And at the end of the
Yeah.
game, Lana gets kind of roped in or trapped with him on a space shuttle that takes off at the end of the game, and it's the robot Mui and Lana,
It's
and
the
you're taking
classic
off.
reversal where it's like the antagonist or the big bad maybe actually has good reasons and there's other stuff going on and
Right,
you're
we
just
don't know
kind of
everything.
caught up.
There's some other
You're
things
kind of
going
maybe
on that we
caught up
can't
in the
figure out.
crossfire of something bigger. And then yeah, like you said, he's this robot guy. He's trying to get the ship to go back into space to achieve whatever goal they had with Mui,
But he needed Mui
the
apparently.
treasure map cat
I
alien
think he
that's
was waiting
your
for
friend.
Mui. Yeah,
Yeah, and it's who's been your companion from the
which
first
you
game.
brought to him. So
And so Mui, like when you find him, Mui kind of stays with him. And so Lana's like, Mui, come on, we got to go because the rocket. They initiate the like takeoff sequence because they've now they have whatever they need to like take off,
yeah, yeah,
and and she ends up like I don't know if it's because she stayed because of Mui or she just couldn't get off in time or both,
right.
but
But now she's
like
there.
you cut from that and you're like, oh my god, what's happening? You cut back to the little sister waking up and she kind of walks out onto the precipice from the early on in the game
Vista,
overlooking this huge vista, and you just see a rocket ship taking off into the distance, and
and somehow she knows Lana's
she's
on it.
like
And it's like, all
well, I
right,
think she's just looking for Lana because she woke up,
sure, sure, yeah.
and it's like just poetic Lana, and then you just see a ship in the distance. You're like, oh my god, because you want Lana to
Now,
be
where is this
reunited.
going next?
Well,
Not
and
Planet
that's
of Lana,
and
some
then
other
the
planet.
credits roll, and I was like, what a
So
great
good.
ending, but also that I mean, you have to have another game at
Yeah,
least
for sure.
after that.
And I'm
I
intrigued
didn't
by it
expect
all.
to be
It's
this
mhm.
hyped. Like
Yeah,
one,
I
I
did.
love
Death
this
Stranding.
game
I didn't expect to be interested in the narrative to this degree, but I'm here and
totally.
I'm like, oh, I really want to know what's going on in this world. That I've
Yeah,
told you this several times. This feels like a spin-off Star Wars, like in the best way,
it
like the
yeah, it feels
best
very
Star
Star
Wars you could
Warsy in a
get
great way.
in a
Yeah,
spin-off. It's just such a Star Wars world. There's even a moment, since we're talking spoilers, when you do the flashback, you see what went wrong with the androids and the humans. There's this moment where clearly the true villain is like this hologram that appears on the ship, and
hmm
he sends out the Order 66, basically,
yeah,
like
yeah,
this jingle that turns all of the androids evil. And thankfully, our good buddy was gone at that time, and that's what happened. So it was just funny in that moment. I'm like, that's legitimately just Order 66 just happening right
yeah.
now on the screen.
Yep,
But clearly, I think that's where we're going. Uh,
yeah,
that's where this plot is going. That is the true villain, is whatever
yeah,
entity or android that was trying to, lead
yeah.
the Robo revolution. So
Yeah. So coming out of this, it's crazy. One, I love the game for what it is, but also two, Planet of Lana 3 is now one of the most or like a game I'm incredibly excited for
yeah,
whenever probably a couple of years based on the timeline between this and the first one, but like I
yeah,
eagerly await the next installment.
It's
This
cooking up
jumped
to
up
be
to
a
like a
really, really nice little franchise, little trilogy here.
yeah,
So
yeah. This is great. I loved it.
glad you're on board.
Yeah.
Glad we got you on board.
Yeah, I feel like I played the first one at a bad time. I feel like if I played again, it would probably be like an 8 out of
Yeah,
10.
for sure.
And
But
I
here
think
you
this
are.
one's
You're
easily
here
a
now.
9.
You're here now. It's all good. So, um, Planet of Lana 2, 8.5. I think it's, you know what? It's a
I'm
9
going
out of
9.
10.
Yeah,
It's
it's
a
a
9
9 for
out of
me.
10. Once we talked about stories, it's just
Yeah, this
such
everything in this
it's
is
such a treat to look at the entire time. It is just stunning art
yeah.
style.
I don't have
So,
anything negative that could get it below a 9.
yeah,
Yeah.
so good, so good. So, and to wrap things up here, you would think that's everything we played in March, but we did play Pacopian. We're gonna have to save that for next month. So,
Yeah, we'll talk
um,
Pacopia next month.
thankfully,
Also
I'm not
Crimson
done with
Desert.
Pacopian.
I
Some
also put
Crimson
like
Desert. I
I
don't know if
put
we'll have
like
more
15
Crimson Desert.
hours.
Oh,
I
you
don't know
got
if we'll talk
15
about it next.
hours?
Probably
Okay,
10 to
okay.
15. I probably what I think I'm going to wait a couple of months to go back to Crimson Desert.
Yeah, me too.
But the point is, I also played a decent amount of Crimson Desert and a decent amount of Pacopia, in addition
I
to all of
know.
these other things.
I mean, honestly, I knew this was going to be a long podcast, but I was itching to talk some Pacopia, but it's okay. I'll save it
That'll allow
because
us to get a little more
I
accomplished
would
before we
like
talk
to.
about it.
I wouldn't mind rolling credits before we actually have the full
Same.
discussion, anyways. So, and I'm a little bit a ways from that. So, moral
Yeah.
of the story is apparently we need our jobs to be more oppressive. We need the economy to be more difficult because we're still playing too many video games in 1 month. Is what I learned from this
Yeah.
podcast. Things are too good. So
Yeah. Let's not
I'm sure
tempt fate.
something will resolve that in the next few days. And that's it. We got to sign off. Thank you for joining us for this hot mess of a podcast. We did our best with some really good games. I feel like I didn't do them justice because my head is not fully there, and we've been wrestling with technical difficulties for 48 hours straight. But
Go play everything we just talked about right now.
except Absolum, unless you like beat 'em ups. But whatever. So you can't win them all. Sometimes you just gotta. It's like art. You just gotta keep putting podcasts out there. Some are gonna be great. Some are just gonna meet a quota.
Let's let the audience decide.
Maybe let's let the audience decide what March was. So, cool, man. Well, thank you for joining me. Thank you for watching this if you did. And we should have Calvin back next month. We just had to get rid of him to talk about some Death Stranding too and certain things. So please join us for April here real soon, and we'll see you there. Please look forward to it. The great news is that the line of light is directly in my face now. So
yeah, the clock has turned.
But I will tell you that I was incorrect, and the light is in fact not moving this way; it is moving the other way because that's how celestial bodies work.
Yeah, that's pretty embarrassing to get the entire direction that you're facing
of the cosmos incorrectly.
With it shows how indoors we are in this day and age. That it's like I don't know.
Yeah,
my senses couldn't tell you.
It was
what
pretty ignorant because my your brain is like, oh, the sun is coming down, so the light will come down. No, obviously it's going to do the opposite. It's going to move up because it's a
yes.
Anyway,
we don't have to think about those things anymore.
I'll just do this for the first
just have it right
20
in one
minutes
eye and just squint. There you go.
It's almost like a seatbelt if I do it just right.
Yeah, it's quite nice.